My wife returned from a work retreat with a hickey. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I'm at loss. How do I move forward? I'm 27M, in a fight with my wife, 28F. We've had fights before but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we're college sweethearts married for almost 6 years. We have a daughter, 4F. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. We've faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job has annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year was in Vegas. I usually arrange my work schedule and tag along with her, and we make our own trip out of it. We couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging, and we decided to choose our battles, so I stood behind and held down the fort at home. The change of plans was a bummer because the trip was part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours have taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertained the idea of her skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't, and my wife's making connections in her field. She grew increasingly weird. We have a system if either of us is away for extended periods. We keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I'd even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. These were all times she wasn't involved in retreat activities. We were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. It was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her I wasn't offering that nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair, and this was a networking opportunity. They were business-oriented and wouldn't understand her stepping away for family time. I said her decision is her decision, but she'd have to explain it to our daughter. She promised her that she'd rain check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand and cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. That whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word for the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One coworker, 23M, was almost in every pic video attached to her hip. In one pic he had his arm too comfortably around her imo. He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. I don't like the guy. He doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texted my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman he needs to keep him in check. My wife had brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. She took him under her wing during his first retreat with the team. If I'd questioned, she'd say she was tired or networking. There was always something. But I've seen her at these retreats. This wasn't like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed it was a bug bite. I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home. I instantly thought it was a full-on hickey. She kinda brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because our daughter was present, but when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. When I kept pushing, she asked what I was trying to imply. I outright said I believed she had a hickey, and I didn't believe she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity, so we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her it had nothing to do with that and everything to do with a hickey on her neck. The fight ended in an impasse. We're still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite. But I'm not convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I never doubted her, but this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a hickey. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now she's wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I've never gotten a bug bite that looked like a hickey. Did she show you her phone or provide any proof that could support her innocence or just dismiss you? The extra affection is a common move from guilt-ridden cheaters. Even if we stretch the imagination and believe it is a big bite, she wasn't acting trustworthy, or was she a good mother while the was in Vegas and she needs to address and correct that? Reply: no, I haven't had access to her phone. We usually have an open phone policy, but it's not something we've ever really done. I'm sure it'll be another argument. Commenter 2: why did you go on work trips with her in the past? Did she want you to, or did you not want her to go alone? What is, and why is it necessary to have, the system when one of you is away? Whose idea was the FaceTime birthday celebration? Did she not talk to the daughter at all on her birthday, or just couldn't do the FaceTime celebration? Reply: work-life balance was an issue, so she'd invite me on the retreats. The system is for an extended periods away from each other, like how long the retreat was. Especially since we have a child now. The birthday FaceTime was my wife's idea. She promised our daughter and got her excited about it. No, she didn't talk with our daughter until she was calling to cancel. That's another reason the birthday stunt rubbed me the wrong way. I responding to a deleted comment: yeah, you don't get to disconnect from being a parent, especially to a minor, for extended holidays. You certainly don't ghost them on their birthday and when you promise to do something special for them and got the child excited about it, or hang up on them while they're crying. I'm not insecure. My wife's gone on the retreats before. We both work outside the home and have the caring for our daughter. So it's not an imbalance. My wife's work-life balance is out of sorts. She's in the company of other adults plenty. I've been with my wife on these retreats and other social events. I know how she is. She was off this entire trip, nor was it appreciated her entertaining a coworker, who ignores boundaries, having his arm wrapped around her waist like he was claiming her or something. I trusted her when she said she had a bug bite. I got things to help her treat it for when returned. It was only after I saw the bruise in person that there was no mistaking it was a hickey for me, and I questioned her on it. Update: I, 27M, wanted to give an update and thank everyone who reached out. The outside perspectives helped. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife, 28F, and me to have any real conversation about the bruise on her neck. We were stuck between arguing and her showering our daughter, 4F, and me with affection. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtlenecked up. But I did note the healing process from reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussion about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear she was done talking about it and that she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot, and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone I couldn't trust. So I moved into the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I try keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell she'd been crying. She said she hated the way things were between us. She felt she was losing me either way. I told her I needed complete honesty. She confessed she hooked up with that coworker, 23M, on our daughter's birthday. The hickey was from him. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was sucking so hard on her neck. By her account, they made out while doing some on top of the clothes stuff, and then he went down on her. It stopped there because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately call her. It snapped her back to the reality of her actions. She went to splash water on her face and saw the hickey. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the hickey being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. Part of the reason she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about that guy she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad, 57M. A cycle of being consumed with work, distant from child, and the infidelity he put her mom, 55F, through. She said her family never talked about anything openly and how when she was growing up, my MIL never addressed anything with her. I said her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. These were all her decisions, and she at any point could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents but realizes this is on her. She apologized for cheating and for entertaining the guy's advances. She said she'll do whatever it takes to repair. Go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like or if that's possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything we couldn't talk out. She insisted we still could talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving this rally cry for our relationship, but I felt very numb. I said I didn't recognize her. Not just the betrayal of our vows but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels she failed as a wife and mom, but she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. She felt we should stay together in our home, but I told her a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leaving so as to best not uproot our daughter so much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife's staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mom's just busy with work per usual. She hasn't questioned it too much. My MIL called the other day. She made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor she always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for if I'm open. Despite some family opposition we faced throughout our relationship, my MIL was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed. But I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and taking things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. Thanks again to everyone for the support. It's much appreciated. TLDR Update 4, my wife returned from a work retreat in Vegas with a hickey on her neck. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the retreat. We're stuck between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. I'm at a loss. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. It was already established that there had been line crossing with the coworker prior to the trip, even if it wasn't physical yet. But even if there hadn't been, I've known coworkers' pet names for their significant others before when only interacting with them on a professional level. The fact that the guy both intentionally gave her a hickey and used the pet name says a whole hell of a lot about him, though. Someone willing to engage in an affair is bad enough. This guy was doing it as some kind of sick power play. Commenter 2. It's also possible it's something super common like honey or baby. Reply. No, it's a specific nickname. It's not derived from her name or anything. It just summed up things I loved about her in one word. Apparently he turned it into a sexual context. Commenter 3. One question, how close was the college to her to know her nickname that you use? And why did she let him this close to her literally and figuratively? Reply. At the time, I knew they had a friendship. She was asked to mentor him as he joined her department. So she took him under the wing and was supposed to be showing him the ropes. They would text and stuff and he would cross boundaries. His texts increasingly read like a guy fishing for an opportunity. My wife shut the idea down as not even a factor for her and I chose to trust my wife because I never had a reason to doubt her before. As far as the nickname, it was something only I called her but it wasn't like a secret thing. I called her by it in front of others and our daughter. She claims the guy overheard me say it when she had me on speaker once and he asked her about it after. New update. Thank you again to everyone. I, 27M, couldn't respond to every message, but everything's appreciated. I wanted to provide an update. Things have been a little chaotic with the new status quo after my wife's, 28F, affair, but I'm taking everything one step at a time. My wife and I explained the separation to our daughter, 4F, in simple, concrete terms and reassured her that we both still love her without going into the reasons behind the separation. Our daughter's always been an observant kid, but I don't think the separation has hit her yet. She doesn't see the difference between her mom not being home and her usual busy with work. During visits, she's more distant towards her mom and clings to me. My wife attempted to play with her on this toy set, but our daughter wasn't having it and shouted at her mom that she didn't want to play with her. The disconnect between my daughter and wife hurts in a way I'm still processing. I knew my wife's work-life balance took its toll. Pre-Vegas, we were supposed to be working on reconnecting, but just how fractured things are is a lot more apparent. Our daughter interacts very little with her mom and becomes quiet around her like she does with strangers. I feel at her age we, as her parents, should be who she's closest with and not this disconnected from her mom. Their dynamic is something I've been reflecting on. My main focus is making sure my daughter's okay through all of this. As far as between my wife and me, she's advocating for us to reconcile. She's expressed she wants to work on our marriage not solely for our daughter but because she loves me. Her rally cries for our relationship are still falling flat for me. I can't give her what she wants right now. I told her I wished she would have given herself these rallies before cheating. She's adamant about the affair timeline and what occurred with the coworker, 23M. They connected because she felt bad he wasn't fitting in. He kept flirting and treating her like royalty. It started feeling good on the rougher workdays. They had an emotional affair even though she didn't label it as such at the time. The EA turned physical during the retreat. She dissociated from her life back home while away in Vegas. She still swears they had sex only once. The hickey came from foreplay, and while giving her oral, he called her my nickname for her, which shook her out of it. She snapped at him about his immature attitude with the hickey and then kicked him out of her suite. She thought she could quietly end things and salvage our marriage. I asked her if she wore her wedding ring during sex with him. She confessed that she did. Knowing this hurts like hell. To me, our wedding rings were a physical symbol of our love, commitment to our vows, and our bond. She tarnished our rings. I haven't been able to wear mine. It never hurts any less. There are just new levels to the hurt. She admits to contributing to blurred lines. She's now changed her number and claims to have cut contact with the coworker. She reported the affair to HR. The company has suspended both of them while they investigate the extent to which the affair impacted the department. Coworker relations violate their policy, and it doesn't look good for my wife in terms of power balance since she was the guy's mentor. They're also calling into question if she gave him favoritism. Some have suggested I reach out to the coworker. I've considered it, but I'm not in a place to. I feel a lot of anger towards him. He knew exactly what he was doing with the hickey and nickname stunt. I wouldn't get anything from him except trouble. He's not worth it. I'm choosing to focus on my daughter. I've chosen to pursue marriage counseling. This isn't under the promise of reconciling but as an assist in working through this separation as healthy as possible for our daughter. I'm still numb in a lot of ways. I never thought this would be how my marriage and family turned out. I've seen it happen to others. I've heard stories. I thought I knew what it was like. But it's nothing compared to dealing with it yourself. I don't feel like the same person anymore. I don't know how everything will pan out. It's an uphill battle, but I'm trying to show up to the battle. It's the best I can do right now. Thank you to everyone who has reached out. I appreciate the support, really. TLDR Update 4, my wife returned from a work retreat in Vegas with a hickey on her neck. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the retreat. We're stuck between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. I'm at a loss. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? Stories number 2. My 26F boyfriend, 36M, has started acting distant and ghosting me after meeting my parents, 49M and 50F, last week. How do I reach out to him? My boyfriend Derek, fake name, and I met through mutual friends 6 months ago and we immediately hit it off. He is sweet, funny, kind and just generally a good guy. He is super extroverted and I have never seen him dislike or not click with anyone. I mentioned him to my parents a couple times and they said they were excited to meet him. My parents live a road trip away so me and Derek had to book a hotel nearby. About 2 weeks ago we dropped all of our stuff in the hotel and arrived at my parents' house. My parents are the most welcoming people you'll ever meet. They have met some of my past significant others in the past and have always been warm and kind. Since both my parents and Derek are charismatic and welcoming I thought that dinner would go smoothly, but I was wrong. It didn't start off too bad. My parents and Derek seemed a bit awkward but I assumed he was just nervous. We sat for dinner and my parents asked us a couple questions. How did we meet? How serious is the relationship? Etc. etc. I've never seen Derek stutter or hesitate before this dinner but he did. As soon as I finished eating he thanked my parents for dinner and said we had to go. It felt like he was rushing to get out of the house. When we got to the hotel room he ran to the bathroom and I heard him throw up. He said he felt sick and he was going to head back home but he insisted I stayed and enjoyed the rest of the trip without him. I agreed since I really missed my parents and he seemed to want to be alone. I texted him a couple times asking how he was doing if he felt better but he didn't reply. After 2 days passed I started to get really worried that maybe he was really sick and had to go to the hospital or something so I cut the trip short and headed back home. I went to his apartment and saw he was okay. I asked him how he was doing and why he wasn't replying and he said he felt fine and that I was overreacting. He told me he still felt sick and he wanted to be alone. I went back home and texted him asking if I did anything wrong and if our relationship was okay since he was acting so weird and cold. A week has gone by since the text message and he has not replied. Derek is the last person I'd expect to ghost me. I'm torn between wanting to give him space and wanting answers. How do I even reach out to him without pushing him further away? TLDR, took my boyfriend to meet my parents, it was super awkward, he got sick and went home early and has been ghosting me since. Update 1. Hey Reddit, sorry I didn't reply to that many of your comments, they were mostly just saying Derek was secretly my brother, which is horrifying, so I wasn't sure how to reply. I tried to reply to questions when I saw them pop up. The past few days have been a mess, but now that everything is settled I thought I would go on here and update all of you. I took you guys' advice and decided to speak to my parents rather than Derek to discover if maybe they said anything or knew each other in the past, like many of you suggested they might. 4 days ago, I called my mom and told her about Derek's weird reaction after our dinner. I asked for advice or if she knew what happened. She was silent for a moment and I heard her start crying. She started apologizing and I didn't understand what she was trying to tell me at first. Eventually, I got her to calm down and she told me what had happened. My mom is a high school teacher and apparently Derek was her student in his senior year and she told me that they had an affair. She didn't give me that many details, honestly I don't even want to know, all she said is that they only slept together once before she shut it down and that my father knew and they had attended couples counseling years ago to work through this. She cried a lot and said it was her greatest regret. Then she told me she wanted me to break it off with Derek because he brought back really awful memories and she found the age gap concerning. She's one to talk about age gaps. But ultimately she said it was decision and she didn't want her past mistakes to ruin my relationship. I went to Derek's apartment again and he invited me in. He said he had to tell me something but I stopped him and told him I had already talked to my mom and knew everything. He promised me he had no idea up until the point we had come over for dinner where he immediately recognized her. He apologized for ghosting me and said he just didn't know what to say and he was scared that he would ruin my relationship with my parents or maybe ruin their marriage. I forgave him but told him that the whole situation was just way too messy for me and he agreed. So yeah, that's how my past few days have gone down. Honestly I do kind of miss Derek but not too much since the whole banging my mom thing is a massive turn off. Thank you for all the replies, I feel like I will never see my mom the same again. How can I work on rebuilding our relationship and trust moving forward? TLDR, my mom, a teacher, had an affair with Derek who was her student back in his senior year. Because of this me and Derek broke up. How can I work on rebuilding my relationship with my mom? New post. Aita for posting my friend's story on Reddit as my own and accidentally ruining her parents' marriage. 2 months ago my best friend's, Valerie's, boyfriend, Derek, began ghosting her upon meeting her parents. She was upset about this and came to me for advice. I'm not good at giving people advice and felt bad for not really being able to help her out. I'd seen many people asking Reddit for advice and it seemed like the advice was genuinely really helpful. I considered suggesting my friend post it but she does not use a lot of social media so I thought it would be a good idea if I made the post as if it was my story and passed on some of the helpful feedback I got. Here is where I may be the asshole. I made the post, changed the names and some details to stay anonymous, and some of the advice was good, I told her and she took some of it. She spoke to her mom who's a high school teacher and discovered that back when Derek was in high school, when he was 19, they slept together. Valerie talked to Derek and they mutually broke up. My friend's mom told her that her father was aware of this and they worked it out. I got a lot of comments begging for updates so I did since I didn't think there'd be any harm. A couple days ago I woke up to a bunch of missed calls from Valerie. I called her back and she began yelling at me asking if I had posted her story on the internet. I initially denied until she sent me screenshots from my post and other screenshots from my account that proved it was mine. I confessed and tried to explain to her why I made the post. She was still angry and yelled at me saying that my reasons were lousy and that I only made the post because I wanted attention and was jealous of her. I apologized for not asking for permission but told her I was just trying to help and she shouldn't be so mad. I offered to take down the post but she shouted saying it was too late now and hung up the call. She refused to talk to me but after talking to mutual friends I found out that Derek found my Reddit post and assumed it was Valerie's. She had him blocked so he messaged her mom, asking her to tell Valerie to take down the posts and unblock him so they could talk about this. Valerie's dad saw the texts from Derek and turns out, her mom had lied, the dad had no idea. He read the story and after a lot of denying the mom eventually confessed. They're getting a divorce. Valerie's dad is really distraught and will be moving in with his brother a couple states away. Valerie's mom called her accusing her of posting the Reddit story and ruining her marriage. After being really confused Valerie figured out the account was mine after looking through my other posts. Valerie is telling everyone that I ruined her family and all my friends think I am an asshole for posting her story whether I had good intentions or not. I guess I shouldn't have made the post without asking but I had genuinely good intentions and I never thought that the post would be found by anyone involved. Also I feel like the cheater is the one who ruined their family, not me. So, am I the asshole? Stories number 3. Publicly embarrassed my aunt when she asked me about having kids again knowing I'm child-free and infertile. Now everyone knows. I posted this in another group for advice and was told I should post it here, too. Here is some background information. I am child-free by choice and have made that known to people in my life since I was 16. My extended family are the type of people who think not having kids because you don't want kids isn't a valid reason. Every time I see my extended family, since I was 16 they ask me about having kids. I always told them I never have kids because I don't want them. At 18 I also added that along with not wanting kids I also have multiple medical conditions that make me infertile. I was hoping knowing this would make them stop bringing it up, but they keep asking every time I see them. On to the current situation. I got engaged a couple of months ago and the talk about getting pregnant and having kids has been constant. Last weekend we had a dinner with both my and my fiancé's families, so they could get to know each other a little better, and as a casual engagement celebration. During dinner my aunt came over and loudly started asking us about having kids, asking if we were trying yet, and even going as far as saying we should start trying to get pregnant now since it would take time because of my medical issues. When she said this I lost it and screamed at her to stop asking me about having kids. People were already watching the exchange since my aunt of loud, but when I screamed most people were watching us. I told her she had been harassing me about having kids since I was a kid myself and even after a decade she refused to stop. She knows I am never having kids, and bringing up my medical issues in front of all of these people, some she had never met before is a crappy thing to do. My aunt just stood there and tried to defend herself, but she didn't have any good excuse for her behavior, and people stared at her. She quickly left when she realized everyone was judging her. Stories number 4. My boyfriend doesn't want to marry me because I'm an immigrant. I, 29F, moved to the US 7 years ago as a grad school student from Indonesia. I met my boyfriend, 30M, a few months after I moved and we've been together ever since. My boyfriend is a US citizen. After I graduated, we had a serious discussion about where our relationship was headed. I made it very clear that I wanted to eventually get married and have children. My boyfriend echoed the sentiments. I remember asking him if he saw that happening with me because I didn't want to be in a relationship with no future. He told me he loved me, and that we were definitely headed in that direction. As of last week, we've been dating for 7 years. We've occasionally talked about marriage, but we were both busy with our respective careers, so the timing didn't seem quite right. However, recently my company announced that there's a chance that my department's work will be outsourced. I'm on an H-1B visa, temporary worker, so this means that I need to start looking for a job ASAP if I want to continue staying in the US. Last week, during our anniversary, I brought this up. I asked him if he thought it was the right time to think about getting married, as that will also help with sorting out my visa issues. He looked like he was about to vomit. After much prodding, he confessed that he wasn't planning on US getting married before I was able to get a green card, permanent resident, in the US. I was incredibly confused because he'd never mentioned this before. His reason was that he didn't want to be used as a visa mule, his words, not mine, by me, and that he wanted to make sure that I married him because I loved him and not because it was a ticket to getting to stay in the US, which can only happen when I get a GC. It took me a while to process what he said, and I asked him if he'd be okay to move to Indonesia with me, which he wasn't. I did not react well and ended up leaving because I couldn't deal with what just happened. I am still in disbelief. I started dating him because he was the kindest, most thoughtful, and generous man I'd met. I now feel like I wasted 7 years. While the visa issues are certainly a problem, I did not date him with the intention of making him my safety net. I cannot believe that even after nearly a decade together, he doesn't know what kind of person I am. I feel like this relationship is possibly over and it hurts. It hurts so much. Update. A few days back I made a post about how my boyfriend of 7 years didn't want to marry me because I was an immigrant on an H-1B, and he didn't want to be a visa mule. I got a lot of wonderful comments and DMs, a few trolls too, but that's expected from Reddit haha. Because the thread got locked and the post was subsequently removed, because I have a low karma account, I was unable to respond to anyone. I'm posting this update to do that, plus add in some more things that have transpired since. TLDR at the bottom, addressing some of the stuff in the comments. I've been on an H-1B visa for a bit more than 2 years now. I was on STEM OPT for about 3 years after grad school. I had terrible luck with the H-1B lottery and I got one in the last round I was eligible to apply in. Getting PR in the US is not easy. I know people who've been here for 15 plus years who are still waiting for their PR. For those of you who DM'd me calling me a gold digger, you guys made me LOL. I am aware of the legalities around sponsoring a spouse for a PR, including the financial aspect. It shouldn't have been a problem for the following reasons. I'm a STEM major who recently shifted into management. I work for a large company and I do quite well for myself. My boyfriend is a teacher and our incomes are not comparable. He earns around $60K, I earn close to $300K. We've been living together for 6 years. We have a shared account to pay for expenses like rent and utilities that we both deposit a percentage of our salary into. The rest of our money goes into our own private accounts and we don't manage each other's money. Because I'm pretty frugal, I've saved up quite a bit of money in the form of savings plus investments. If my boyfriend was worried about the legality of sponsoring me financially for 10 plus years, I would have happily discussed moving the money around. I was even considering buying a house, so we could have made that a joint ownership thing. The point is, we could have figured it out. I haven't relied on him financially ever, and I didn't intend on doing that in the future. I might not have considered everything, but you have to note that I thought about the marriage for visa thing very recently, only when the threat of possibly having to leave loomed over me. This isn't something I'd thought about in detail at all. Regarding my situation back home in Indonesia, I come from a very religious and conservative family and had a horrible childhood. My family doesn't support my career choices. I cut contact with my family when I moved to the US, so they are not in the picture at all. I was on great terms with boyfriend's family, they loved me. Now, for the actual update, he is now my ex-boyfriend. I took a few days to collect myself and then reached out to him wanting to talk. He agreed. It turns out that he has been insecure about earning less than I did for a while. Apparently, his friends have been poking fun at our relationship, calling me the sugar mommy because I take care of most of the expenses. He never told me this until now. He apparently didn't feel like an equal because our pay differs so much, and started feeling that I was only with him as a quick way to get a PR here. I was speechless. I couldn't believe that his friends lighted him into doubting our relationship. I reminded him how he had supported me when I was in grad school, like getting me groceries when I had little money to spare, allowing me to stay with him rent-free in my last year of grad school to help me minimize expenses so I didn't have to take out a loan, letting me use his car when I was attending interviews. I told him that he did them because he loved me and me taking on the majority of household expenses, since I started working, is my way of paying him back for all the things he did for me back then. He said that he gets what I'm saying but also that he didn't expect me to start earning more than him straight off the bat. I asked if there was any chance he'd consider going to couples therapy, like some of you had suggested, and he declined because he didn't think he was being unreasonable. He said that he wanted to be the provider in a relationship and that he didn't feel like one in ours, so there's no going back from this unless I quit my job and found another that paid substantially less, which isn't going to happen. Well, long story short, we broke up. His family is in disbelief, they were hoping that he would propose soon. I've moved into an Airbnb for now. A little bit of good news to end this update with. My company offered me a similar role in a different department. However, this is based out of France, and there's a small decrease in pay. I've always dreamed about living in Europe and I've accepted this offer. I've signed the relocation agreement, and I'll move there in the next 8 to 12 weeks. TLDR, boyfriend was insecure about earning less than me. Boyfriend has now become ex-boyfriend, company offered a new job in France. Leaving US in 2 to 3 months to start a new life in France. A few comments. People took apart my update to point out a discrepancy. I first said, I haven't relied on him financially ever, and later, I reminded him how he had supported me when I was in grad school, like getting me groceries when I had little money to spare, allowing me to stay with him rent-free in my last year of grad school to help me minimize expenses so I didn't have to take out a loan, letting me use his car when I was attending interviews. I'm sorry for wording my feelings poorly, causing this confusion. I never asked or expected my ex to help me buy groceries, or house me. I moved to the US to pursue a tech MBA from a top 20 school, and had scholarships and student loans that were going to help me cover the cost tuition plus living expenses, so at no point did I need him to help me. I knew I was going to have a financially difficult time for 2 years, and I was prepared for this. My ex, however, did not like that I was eating cold sandwiches and instant ramen most of the time and would bring me some groceries, vegetables, frozen food, and the like, because he wanted to make sure I was eating well. He was also the one who proposed the idea of me moving in with him, because he wanted us to live together, and also thought it would lower my stress levels. He was an extremely kind, considerate, and generous man, and it was one of the reasons I fell in love with him. I am extremely grateful for his support. But I wasn't relying on it. Had he not done any of the above, I would have managed. Update. I'm back with an update after about a year of moving to France. My previous posts are on my profile if you guys want to check them out. I absolutely love it here. The language barrier is very real, but I'm taking classes, and the people around me have been incredibly helpful. I've spent the last year experiencing all the good things Europe offers. I've visited multiple cities in France, Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Portugal, Switzerland, Denmark, Germany, and Luxembourg. I cannot believe how gorgeous all of these places are, and the more time I spend here, the more I think about how fortunate I am to be able to experience this. I'm soon traveling to Italy, and I'm excited about everything. My work-life balance is also incredible. I was frequently putting in 10 to 12-hour work days in the US, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've had to work more than 8 hours a day here. I love the emphasis on personal time, and I cannot fathom going back to the way it was before. I haven't had the courage to get back into dating yet. My experience with the ex has left a really bad taste in my mouth. Even though immigration here is a lot easier than in the US and is not really one of my worries, the thought of things falling apart after putting in a significant amount of time and effort scares me. I'm considering therapy, but I haven't quite made the leap to do that yet. My ex reached out to me a few months after I moved. He faced a lot of backlash from his family after we broke up, and he wanted to discuss reconciliation because he realized the error of his ways. I told him exactly how he made me feel, and that I could no longer trust him. I had decided to move on, and advised him to do the same. He's had to downgrade his lifestyle as he could no longer afford to live the same way we did, and I could tell that it made him unhappy. Not going to lie, I did feel a pang of guilt and sadness after our conversation. But it is what it is. I got a bunch of DMs asking me about what I do. I have an undergrad in comp science, and after a year of working, I decided to pursue an MBA. I was fortunate enough to get into one of the top 20 B schools with a scholarship that reduced my tuition by about 30%. I got into tech consulting initially and then switched to product management after a couple of years. TLDR, life's good. Ex's chapter is closed. Haven't started dating yet, need to find the courage to get back into it. Final update, I now live in the Netherlands. Switched over to another company last year. It's cold and wet most of the year, but this summer was glorious, and at times, hot enough to remind me of home. I went through therapy, for a few months. I must admit that I was not fully committed to it. But venting helps a lot. That, and distance, and time, has definitely helped me heal. It's a bit hard making friends in NL. Most people seem to want to stick to their existing social circles. I have made a few friends through the expat community, but these friendships need more time and effort to become something worthwhile. I am trying to date now. Signed up on a bunch of apps. Haven't really had a lot of success so far, but I'll keep putting myself out there. I still miss my ex sometimes, especially on days when I'm unwell. Because it reminds me of how he used to take care of me and make me congee. I miss being cared for. And no, I haven't reached out. That chapter is truly done. I got a cat. She's a very loud girl. I'll add a photo on my profile. Life is kinda good, I guess. I need more friends XD. Signin' off. Stories number 5. I am 27, found out my wife, 25F, has been cheating on me online with a young guy, 18M. She first started talking to this guy last year, when he was 17 and my wife 24. She became withdrawn, would let a lot of things slide, lose interest in her hobbies, the household, the kids, her friends, me. She admitted to me, in tears, that she had started chatting a guy from Ongo one night when bored. They had exchanged contact details, she made a Snapchat just for him and so did he. They began chatting there regularly. This guy is handsome, he's young, he's an athlete and he's fit as can be. He's funny. He's awesome. He mesmerizes her. Makes her laugh all the time. She finds herself falling for him, and she admits her mistake to me. I am so sad and upset. But I forgive her. She promises to block him. Remove her app. Things are cool for a while, but months later I find out she still has Snapchat. She says it's for her other friends. I push the issue, turns out she still talks to the guy. I am not okay with this. She says they are just friends. I tell her to block his ass. She says she does. Around December last year I discovered she never did block him. Still talks to him. I am so fucking mad. I break into her phone one day, see her Snapchat open and a message from him. I love you, it says. Scroll up more and see a picture of my own wife's breasts staring me in the face. She sent him her tits for his birthday. Once more she blocks the guy. I think things are fine, but I am starting to lose my feelings for my wife. One time around Christmas my oldest daughter tells me, excitedly, that she had a phone call with Sebastian the Crab. Like the buddy of Ariel the Little Mermaid from the Disney movie? I shrug it off. I mean 4-year-olds make shit up all the time, right? And she has a very rich imagination. She constantly insists she's a real fairy or princess and claims to have magic powers and whatever. I find out just yesterday that my wife never stopped talking to the guy until this past February, when he suddenly ghosted her out of nowhere. Which makes sense because she was very sad and depressed at the time. She then deleted all her apps and accounts in anger, and now has no way of contacting the guy or being contacted by him. Not sure if I even believe that anymore, but sure, she was sharing all she did to me. Like she wanted it off her chest. I just let her talk, and she admits to it all. Says she really fell in love with him. Mentions how she read a lot on Quora about polyamory, Quora is her fucking Bible, and that she feels like she can love multiple people at once, that her love for me has not diminished by loving another guy. I call bullshit. Then she admits she even had voice calls with the guys at night when I am away. I often work night shift. At times our oldest daughter would wake up and he'd talk to her too. He sang her to sleep a few times. And he pretended to be Sebastian the Crab, which is what my daughter tried to tell me. She tried to tell on her mama, I think, but I shrugged it off. I am so insanely angry she would allow herself, as a grown woman, to fall for some boy on the other side of the globe. I am feeling betrayed by the fact that she showed her body to him. What makes me the most mad, however, is that he talked to my fucking daughter. He even saw her picture and a video. He called her Little Dua, like the singer Dua Lipa, because he thinks she looks like a toddler version of that singer. The whole thing is so creepy. The fact that he was just 17 when my wife and him met online is creepy to me. The fact that she allowed him to talk to our firstborn daughter. It's all messed up. I fear she may have wanted to run off with the guy. She's talked a lot about the place he lives, California, and I'm just weirded out by that, too. I don't know what to do. I'm heartbroken. My wife and I have a daughter, another daughter, too, and she is currently pregnant as well. She blamed some of her behavior on pregnancy hormones, which is nonsense. She also tried to subtly push polyamory on me as well. I'm so done with her, but I also love our daughters and do not want them to grow up in a broken home. She's gone back to normal in some sense. She does her hobbies, she cares for the kids and runs the household as before. She is sweet to me, at times. We make love often. But most of the time, as much as it pains me to say, I feel nothing. I'm 27 years old. I felt last year that I had it all. I felt on top of the world. Now I feel like I already lost it. TLDR, my wife has had an intense online affair for months and the guy even talked to my daughter and gave her nicknames and did impressions for her, and now I'm weirded out. Comments. Your wife lied to your face on 4 separate occasions about ceasing contact with this guy, shared explicit photos, and allowed him to speak to your daughter. Only after he ghosted did she delete everything and express she still loves you. Obviously any semblance of trust between the two of you is gone. What happens if she gets bored and starts chatting with a different guy? The fact that it appears she feels she has done nothing wrong or only slightly wrong because she still loves you lots and lots is alarming. Do you think you will trust her again? If not, protect you and your daughter and start anew. Link. Reply. I don't believe I will ever be able to fully trust her again. She's hurt me too much with what she did. The awful thing is that I still love her in so many ways. I still love her mind. I still love her sense of humor. Her passion and her drive. I think she's an amazing mother, or well, I used to think so. Right now I'm not sure. I just don't know, but I don't think I can trust her anymore. And if I had the means and it was as easy as snapping my fingers, I'd have her leave by tomorrow. Thing is, I can't. My parents have busy careers, my siblings are busy too, no one could help me out in raising the kids if my wife was out of the picture. I want her out, but then what? Update, I, 27M, have been cheated on by my wife, 25F, who then tried to push for an open relationship. So here's an update. I have read all the responses to my previous topic but did not find time to respond and reply to each and every one of them individually. The common thought seems to be that I need to man up and take responsibility of my life, and many have advised me to kick out my wife or seek legal counsel and start gathering evidence. Financially speaking, as a young father of soon-to-be 3 kids, I cannot just call up a lawyer like that. We are not Americans and we are not in America either, so I do not know which laws do and do not apply to our situation. The guy she had her emotional affair with, however, is in the States, but they lost contact and my wife claims she does not know his last name or exact location, only his first name. Some have suggested she was the one being catfishes, but she says no, because she actually had video calls with the guy and he looked like the images he had previously sent her. My wife admitted a lot of things to me in our talk. For example, she's a singer-songwriter, or rather, she tries to be one. She has written a lot of songs, passionate, romantic and sweet loving songs over the last half year. I was touched by them before, thought they were about me. Turns out they weren't. Turns out they were about that guy. This devastated me. The whole affair, my wife said, inspired her. She told me about how hardworking the guy is. How he is going to a top university, how clever and bright he is, blah blah blah. She said she considers me lazy, not ambitious enough. That I am good with the kids and all that, a decent provider, but that I am not really someone she sees as being capable of greatness. She likes the fact that I look good and our kids look good, and that I have a lot of focus on their well-being. But she needs a life partner, not just a babysitter. This infuriated me because when I take care of my fucking kids, I am not just a babysitter, I am their father and I am caring for them because I love them and I am responsible for them. She admitted she often thinks of going back to her own country and living with her parents. My in-laws are quite well-to-do and my MIL has a lot of time on her hands to help out. My wife is not originally from the same country as me. My wife said she'd take the kids, follow her dreams in the city she studied in, which she thinks will give her a better chance at success. She also regrets having married me in the first place. She says that she wouldn't have married me if she knew at the time how lazy I was. For the record, I am not lazy. I work night shift 3 nights a week, also work during days several other days. On the evenings I am home. I manage to cook at least twice a week. I do groceries, pick the kids up from school, make them sleep too regularly. I handle the kids on evenings. I am free to allow my wife to go to classes to develop herself. She is pregnant and I massage her at times for up to 90 minutes so her back and legs won't be too painful. I'm a fucking hero to that woman and she does not realize it. Instead she compares me to some other guy she's never even met in person, and somehow, I don't quite measure up because I didn't go to a top school, I'm not rich, I'm less ambitious, and this makes me lazy and useless. So now I'm looking at my options. I'm 27 years old. I am in decent shape and I am not a bad-looking guy. I'm a good father. I'm a good provider. I'm a good son and a loyal friend. I've been a good husband, too, but apparently I'm not good enough. Well, guess what, neither is she, she's far from sufficient. She's far from good enough, but I never say even 1% of the hateful and negative shit she tells me. Never. I've told her all this. I have told her how I feel. I told her that I do not feel respected. That I feel like shit, treated like shit, tossed aside like shit. That I will not continue to support her in her dreams if this is what she wants to do. I also told her that she is not going to take the kids anywhere, that if she wants to leave, she can leave, but she will do it by herself. She is not a citizen yet of my country, and I reminded her of the fact, whereas our kids are. I have taken hold of our kids' passports and now hold them with me as I write this. I am not letting go of them. If she wants to leave she can, but it will just be her and the unborn baby leaving, and she won't bring any of my stuff with her. That laptop she has been using to chat to the guy, it's now with me too. I bought her that fucking laptop, I'm taking it back. I'm taking back control of my life. I am still considering what further steps I will take, but whatever she has planned I'm not about to lay down and take it. Since telling me all this, and her hearing my response, all of us as a family have attended a family event. My wife pretended to be fine. She has stopped saying negative things to me. She's not on her phone anymore. I distrust her. But even though I have told her where the door is, she has not left the house either. I think she is backing down a bit by now. TLDR, my wife had an online affair and I confronted her many times, she would not stop. Finally, after having posted here and having reached my limit, I confronted her again and she said more hateful things to me and hinted she may take our 2 kids and go back to her home country. I took the kids' passports to prevent her from essentially kidnapping them against my consent. Stories number 6. Aita for not allowing my mother to bring her boyfriend I don't know or want to know to my wedding. I, 33 NB, does not have a great relationship with their mother. Parents are divorced. Both remarried. Father is remarried to a great stepmom. Mother was married to her second husband, Mark, for about 9 years before their divorce. There were petty reasons behind the mother's 2 divorces, having to do with money. OOP set up boundaries with their mother, asking her not to complain about her love life and boyfriends. I gets ready to be married to their partner, 35M, after being together for 10 years. They prefer a small backyard wedding and reception barbecue for up to 40 guests only. Dad, stepmom, Mark, former stepdad, and his wife are invited. Mother is also invited, asked OOP if she could have her boyfriend as her +1. OOP said no as they do not know the boyfriend very well. OOP asked if they were TA for not letting their mother have her boyfriend as a +1. After getting the verdict from AITA, and listening to their fiancé and sister and reading comments from Redditors on original post, OOP decides to allow their mother's boyfriend to come with some ground rules. OOP's mother accepted the rules they set up for her and her boyfriend. I explained their mother is a gold digger, an alcoholic, and slept with their brother's best friend when they were 21. The mother complained that if both of her ex-husbands gave her what she wanted, they would still be together. She got a DUI years ago when crashing into another car while being drunk, having 3 bottles of wines per day. Brother did not forgive the mother for sleeping with his best friend who he knew since preschool. Her current boyfriend, not the best friend, is only 10 years younger than she is. She believes that it's okay to sleep with younger men. After reading comments and receiving advice, I decides that they are not going to deal with their mother anymore. They thought if having the mother in their life would keep the peace with the extended family members. Decided to follow younger brother's advice and only speak with their mother at family functions and nothing else. I don't want to be around my mother but I want to be around family. August 28, 2023, 5 days later. I decides to distance themselves from their mother due to her awful background. Did not get along since OOP was 16 after the mother and stepdad's divorce. Tired of fighting with their mother, decided to reduce their contacts for now, but the reason why not cutting contacts right away was because of the mother's side of the family who OOP is closer to keep the peace. OOP asked for advice on how to be cordial and see their mother at their family events, but not talk or hang out. My mother thinks she's entitled to alcohol at my wedding. I and fiancé are getting ready to be married. Set on having a dry wedding for 2 major reasons, their mother and their fiancé's brother who dealt with alcohol problems. Mother tends to make a scene when drunk. Fiancé's brother can't stop binge drinking and got alcohol poisoning more than once. Can't stop until he passed out or someone takes his drinks away. OOP has family members who are recovering alcoholics. Only they and their fiancé will have alcohol when they go on their honeymoon. OOP's uncle is very grateful that they are considering about his recovery which he takes very seriously, and he has been sober for 7 years and counting. My mother finds out about the dry wedding and had their phone calls. The mother is upset that OOP has made the final decisions and she said the wedding will be very boring. OOP stands firm with their final decisions. OOP and their mother gets in an argument over phone on why she can't have a drink to pass the time. Denied that it was her fault for the car accident and her divorces from OOP's father and stepdad. Mother is upset on why her children are distancing themselves from her. She got angry at OOP for not letting her be involved with the wedding planning and dress shopping. I decided to reach out to their father and uncle, mother's brother, for advice. All 3 agreed on an intervention for the mother. Uncle thinks his sister's drinking is bad again. Decided to uninvite their mother to the wedding because she wasn't being civil with OOP's wedding and drinking rules. Feels like reaching the final straw with their mother. Small update. I gives thanks to the Redditors for support. Shared a small update on their mother. Grandparents and uncles, mother's side, decided it was time to have an intervention for OOP's mother. If she doesn't accept help, she won't be invited to the future family events and no longer a part of the family if her drinking continues. OOP's sister is the only one who has a relationship with their mother. Sister said if mother doesn't get help, she is going to cut contacts too for her own mental health. My father informed them that he has the local biker gang as security at the wedding. OOP has no problem with that because security can be pricey, and the biker gang is doing OOP's father a favor. OOP focuses on finalizing the wedding plans. Sees their stepmom as the real mom who has been there for them. I'm officially estranged from my mother. I got in a fight with their mother the prior day. Officially estranged now because of their mother's drinking and behavior problems. Came to uninvited her from the wedding as the final decision to have some relief. Update, my mother thinks she's entitled to alcohol at my wedding. I finds themselves back sooner than expected to share more updates on their mother. Police were called on her for domestic violence. Threw wine bottles at her current boyfriend who locked himself in the bathroom. The place was destroyed during the mother's temper tantrums. Got sent to psychiatric ward and been there since then. Sister is the mother's primary contact after she got admitted to the hospital. Finds that she was likely to have alcohol-related dementia and a psychotic disorder. Mother is going through alcohol detox in order to receive treatments. No one in the family wants to visit at the hospital. Me and sister decided on guardianship for mother after a social worker came in to take her case. Meaning that she can be held in the system rather than being released after 72 hours of psychiatric hold. Grandpa and uncles agree with OOP and sister on needing this for the mother. Grandma was too upset because the state had to get involved with the family issues and she didn't want that for her, OOP's mother. The extended families decided the mother is no longer a part of their family. Washed their hands off her years ago. The family is letting the guardianship take the lead on their mother's case. No one wants to deal with her anymore. Mother is now away from the family, meaning that OOP could finish the wedding planning without the stress. The boyfriend finally breaks up with the mother and accepted OOP's invitation to the wedding after being civil with each other when discussing the mother's situation. OOP is relieved that their mother is no longer their problem now, looking forward to the new chapter with their husband. Post-wedding update. I comes back as a married person now and provided an update on their mother's progress after Redditors asked about her. She's not doing well, needed a feeding tube, and refusing to speak, eat, or drink water. The doctors have advised the family on the mother's conditions after years of alcohol abuse, and if she doesn't stop drinking, she could be gone in 5 years. Might not even get a transplant if she ignores the doctor's orders due to her liver disease and needing dialysis. I had a great wedding. The mother's ex-boyfriend did not attend the wedding as he chose to deal with his own drinking issues. OOP wishes him well. Recently, OOP took a pregnancy test and it's positive. Has not told their families yet. Going out to their honeymoon. OOP's now husband is welcomed into the family by their brothers and stepbrothers. Stepmom took care of the mother duties at the wedding and was fabulous for me. Original post. I comes to AITA with another question on their mother's situation. Mother had a meltdown leading to her arrest and hospitalization. Social worker steps in and take the case, tells the family they need a third party to serve as the guardian for the mother. She goes on disability and placed in a long-term psychiatric home, got diagnosed with Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome with encephalopathy and liver disease. Only 55 years old and won't live to see 60. Unlikely to be eligible for a transplant unless she stops drinking. He is the eldest child, so they decided to be the main point of contact with the guardian who is overseeing their mother's case. Grandma wants to intervene and bring her home to live with her parents. Grandpa is not having it. He tells his wife that their daughter did this to herself, not the family. Only grandma is the one who wants to visit with the conditions that one uncle takes her. She insists OOP and their sister move their mother in with them so they can care for her with grandma's help. OOP denies because they are pregnant and doesn't need any more stress on their plate. Sister agrees she needs to put her family, especially 2 kids, first. She doesn't want to enable their mother anymore. Family members other than grandpa and uncles are telling my family and they should care for her. I asks if they are TA for not caring for their mother. I makes a note after getting the AITA verdict that they haven't revealed their pregnancy to the family yet until 2nd trimester. They love their grandma, but they are putting themselves first for their own mental health and family's safety. So denying grandma's begging to bring their mother home with them was the right thing to do. Court date has been set for the guardianship, which grandma still wants to object on. Update. Court date came. Mother is now under guardianship. Grandma wanted to object and give her mind, but was shut down by the judge who said mother is dangerous to the family. OOP and sister brought grandma for a supervised visit with their mother. Reality hits grandma that her daughter is not in the right mind with her health problems. Grandma understood why OOP and sister cannot care for their mother. OOP explains to their grandma what Reddit folks told them. Grandma understood the rehab staff is more trained and equipped to handle her daughter's care better. Grandma had an in-person visit with her daughter and finally saw the real person her daughter was to OOP and sister. The mother was asking grandma if she was going home with her, breaking grandma's heart. Grandma told her that it was the best if she stays at the rehab for a while to get the help. The family gets home from the visit. Grandma breaks down and apologized to her grandchildren for forcing them to take care of their mother. OOP and sister had to tell their grandma that it wasn't her fault for her daughter's alcoholism problems. Grandma knew OOP and sister were doing the right things as needed in order to keep their mother safe. Sets up a schedule for grandma to visit twice a week with a family member taking her. 7.5 months later. Hi, I still see messages asking for updates whenever I log in. I don't log in very often as I'm very busy. Here's what's going on. I'm currently 8 months pregnant. Child will be AFAB. My spouse and I don't plan on assigning gender at birth and will let them decide as they get older. The pregnancy has gone relatively smoothly. I didn't do a very good job of hiding my pregnancy that first trimester, so by the time I announced I was pregnant, everyone was nonchalant. My spouse and I are planning to have one more child pretty quickly after this is born to complete our family. Ideally within the next 18 to 24 months. Baby is due middle of next month. Things have been going well since we got married. My spouse is figuring out that they may be a trans woman. I'm not surprised. I saw this coming, but both of us agreed to wait on any transitioning until we had 2 babies. My family is well. I've been spending more time with my dad and his family, including my aunts, uncle, and my 93-year-old grandmother. My grandfather on my mother's side had a minor stroke. His right arm doesn't move right, he's legally blind and can no longer drive, but he can talk and walk even if it's difficult at times. After that drama with my grandpa, I've been putting a little more distance between my bio mom's side of the family. I got tired of the dysfunction, drama and petty fighting. I still love them and their family, but I need to focus on my family and not their dysfunction. My mom is not good. Her health is rapidly deteriorating. She's been going for kidney dialysis 3x per week. In my previous post, I got a little confused. She has acute cirrhosis of the liver, and when they mentioned dialysis I thought it was liver dialysis, but no, her kidney function is poor too. Liver dialysis isn't really a thing, but both her kidneys and liver are failing and the chances aren't looking good that she'll qualify for a transplant, as she has been diagnosed with alcohol-related dementia. Without a transplant, her life expectancy is less than 2 years. The plan is to move her into a skilled nursing facility and get her hospice care. On that front, I haven't visited in 6 months. All she really does anymore is stare out the window. She doesn't talk much or get out of bed often. She can barely walk. It was too emotionally draining and stressful to visit her, so I stopped. That may sound heartless, but once again, I need to look out for me and there's nothing I can say or do. I thought her being sickly would make me feel something for her, but I only see someone who chose to do this to themselves instead of getting help. I know that isn't fair or necessarily true of addiction, but disdain is the only emotion I can muster. My uncle in AA came to visit her, and when he saw her, he said that just strengthened his resolve to stay sober, and he saw what would happen if he didn't. It's sad and somewhat embarrassing. My mother is the poster child of why you stay sober. My sister has taken the lead in keeping up with her needs and visiting. She was always closest to my mom, so it makes sense. That's all I have. Maybe I'll check in again. I might be too busy to do so. Old new update. Editor's note: the latest update is over 4 months old and wasn't posted here in the sub. For those that still care, I had my baby. She's beautiful. My spouse and I originally planned to have kids back to back, but that seems insane to me now. We decided to do IVF and surrogacy for the next one. My gender dysphonia after pregnancy got kind of bad, but not PPD bad, or if it was PPD that's how it manifested, and I'm doing much better. I'm doing what I can now to feel comfortable with myself, and over the summer we'll start IVF. After that my spouse and I are going to transition together. We're going strong. We're still figuring out how to transition with kids, but we'll figure it out. I read my post on Boru, which was weird. People had questions about why I distanced myself from my mom's side of the family. I came to realize after my grandfather's stroke that there is a lot of drama on that side of the family, and I finally saw the dysfunction for what it was. I don't want my child exposed to that kind of dysfunctional family. For the good of myself as a parent and my child, I decided to set boundaries and keep my distance. I love them, but I cannot handle the dysfunction and the fights. My uncles have actually been understanding and are working to be better. I see and talk to a couple of them on an individual basis. My grandparents, not so much. My grandmother is angry with me and believes my dad and new spouse have brainwashed me. She thinks family is family and I need to just accept my family as is. I hope someday I can come back into the fold, but not as things currently stand. Now for the big news: my mother will die soon. The plan is to stop dialysis, and she probably won't last more than a day. Her liver has shut down completely. I saw her this weekend to say goodbye. I never saw yellow skin like that before. I've kept myself out of the loop for my own sanity, so I don't really know when or the logistics. I was just told it's unlikely she'll see Thanksgiving this year. She is unaware of herself and her surroundings. As messed up as it is to say, I think death will be a mercy for all of us. Here's what's super messed up. I'm honestly relieved this is happening. She can't hurt anyone anymore, and most importantly, this problem will finally be over. I know how messed up that sounds. I feel like a monster saying that, but I look at my daughter and realize my own mother chose alcohol over her children. I can't imagine doing anything like that. So honestly, what good is she to the world at that point? She failed as a mother, and for the past decade she's been nothing more than an annoying stranger to me. I wish things could have been different, but they weren't, and it'll be nice to move on from this once and for all. I don't think there's any need to update on this account again since my mother will be gone soon. I want to move forward with my life. That said, thank you to everyone. Even those who were critical. I get it. I really learned from reading the comments, and I wanted to say thank you one last time. Comments. Commenter 1, you're not a monster. Some people may not understand your feelings, but they have never experienced what you've been through. Those of us who have been in similar situations know death of a parent can be a relief and have had similar feelings. It's okay to feel that way. You are free from her. Good luck and I wish you a very happy life. Commenter 2, I'm glad things are going mostly well for you. I wish you and your spouse luck in your transitions. I think it's more normal to feel the way you do when you have a toxic addict parent. You've been conditioned to feel otherwise. That's something to explore with a therapist if you haven't already. There is no law saying you have to mourn someone. Commenter 3, I'm so sorry for your loss. Even though she wasn't a parent to you, it still makes you feel grief. Whatever good times you had with your mother is the mother you longed for, and it's okay to grieve that. It's okay to be angry. Just know that you did whatever you think it was right for your own family and most importantly yourself. Stories number 7. To fool by giving my youngest son advice on happy relationships and causing my oldest son's girlfriend to dump him. First, I would like to say this actually happened on my youngest son's birthday, but today is the day my oldest son confronted me, so here is what happened. After the cake and presents, my youngest son and I were chatting. He is a young teenager, and now that my wife and I feel he is old enough and mature enough, we gave him permission to begin dating. He wanted advice on his future relationships. His mom and I almost never fight, and apparently it was noticeable enough that he asked about it. The conversation began by talking about learning to respect your partner, etc. I can't remember everything I said, but here are some highlights. Always be ready and willing to say you're sorry, even when you think you're right. Never dismiss your girlfriend's feelings. They are valid, even if you don't understand them. Communicate, communicate, and communicate. If something is bothering you and you don't tell your significant other, you're only hurting yourself. Listen when she is trying to tell you something, no matter how much you don't want to hear it. Put the game controller down, and mute the TV, whenever she wants your attention. End every conversation with a sign of your affection, and if you won't see her for a few hours, give her a hug, a kiss, or both, every time. Throughout the day randomly tell her you're thinking about her, you care about her, or you love her. And mean it. If you stop meaning it, figure out why and fix it, or break up. Trust is important, and once you've broken it, you might never fix it again. Many people believe love is the most important thing in a relationship, but it's not. It's respect. If you don't respect your partner, or feel she doesn't respect you, talk about it and fix it, or break up. Otherwise you will both be miserable. There were a bunch of other pieces of advice I gave him, but that's the general gist. It wasn't all seriousness, we joked around a bit too. I told him this little bit of advice my dad told me a long time ago. You will know when your girlfriend is completely comfortable around you when she is willing to fart in front of you. Don't marry her until that happens. Sage advice, that is. Now, me and my youngest were sitting at my desk having this talk while he was picking out the video games he wanted to buy with his birthday money. My daughter and my oldest son's, now ex-girlfriend, were on the couch playing video games and listening to us. My daughter occasionally chimed in with her own comments. She's been dating a few years now, and had her own bits of advice to give, though her comments were more about how to act on dates, places they can go, and stuff like that. My oldest son's girlfriend hardly spoke at all. In hindsight, that should have been a red flag. She's a talkative extrovert and also a very pleasant and generous young woman. Eventually my oldest boy came over and dropped off his gift for his little brother. He and his girlfriend stuck around long enough for him to have some cake, and then they left. At this point I don't know exactly what happened. My daughter managed to get some details from my oldest son's, now, ex-girlfriend. I got some more from my oldest when he came over to yell at me for breaking up his relationship. Long story short, my oldest wasn't being a good boyfriend. His girlfriend confronted him with some issues they've been having. She felt like he didn't respect her opinions and feelings, and she dumped him. It's that simple. I love all my children with every bit of my heart, even when they are mad at me, and I admit I fucked up. I am to blame for his breakup. But not because of what I said in front of his girlfriend. I fucked up because I didn't drill the advice I gave my youngest into my oldest boy's head when he was younger. He wants me to post this on one of the Aita subs, but I am not going to do that. I admit that I could be a better father, and I can be a real a-hole sometimes, but I'm pretty damn sure that even though I could have read the damn room, that wasn't the real problem. Hopefully my oldest son learns from this. TLDR, I gave my youngest son relationship advice when my wife and I decided he was now old enough to date. My oldest son's girlfriend took that advice and confronted my oldest son, apparently because he wasn't respecting her or her feelings. They had a huge argument and broke up. Comments. Commenter 1. He wants me to post this. What a strange request. I understand it's for validation, but a son challenging his father by looking for opinions on a forum suggests such a weird dynamic. Commenter 2. Immature enough to think the internet would be on his side on this LMAO. It's clearly too soon for him to start dating. Commenter 3. I don't think it's too soon to start dating. I think it's time to learn from mistakes made, and take those lessons into the next round of dating. I barely know anyone who always did everything right from the start in dating and relationships. The old romantic, they were high school sweethearts and stayed together from that point on, storyline has not been attained by anyone in my chosen social circles. People do dumb shit. Relationships end because of it. All we can do is try to learn from it. Commenter 4. Since your post makes it seem like he's reading the comments, I'm directing this to the oldest son. Dude, treat women well. Not because their gender gives them any special status but because they are human, and almost everyone deserves to be treated with human decency. If you are with a partner and you realize you aren't actually invested in the relationship, just be honest and break up instead of hurting them by stringing them along. If your sole reason for a relationship is because you just want sex, there are a lot of ways to get it if you are honest with your partners and a decent human being. Learn from this breakup and become a better partner so it doesn't happen again. And listen to your parents, it sounds like they actually understand what a healthy relationship looks like, and that is far too rare in this world to take for granted. Commenter 5. Also for son, that advice your dad was giving is golden. You should expect to be treated that way as well. If your partner doesn't respect your feelings, listen to you when you have something to share, take your side into account, and communicate honestly, why are you with them? In a good relationship each party feels like they are getting more than they give. If all the effort is on one side, that isn't a partnership, and almost all of it applies to friendships as well. Up to you on how much physical affection you show. But if you haven't seen your friend in a while, dropping a text with a silly meme goes a long way. Update. I've had a few requests for an update, but life and its troubles kept happening each new day since my original post. I made some comments on the original post but there were just too many to answer everyone and deal with the PMs people sent me. I'll try to answer the many and varied questions in this update. I'd like to clarify that my oldest son is a young adult, and no longer lives in my home. He came over long enough to drop off my youngest son's gift, eat some cake, and left with his girlfriend. My daughter and youngest son are still teenagers. My daughter and my oldest son's girlfriend met through my son, but they are still friends even after the breakup. With that said, on with the update. After my oldest son and his girlfriend broke up, and he yelled at me for it, many things have been said, some things I didn't know were revealed, and some secrets were told. I gave my son a couple days to cool off before I spoke with him. My wife tried calling a few times, but he wouldn't answer his phone, so I went over to his apartment. His roommate convinced him to let me in to talk. And we did. We also did some shouting, a bit of yelling, and hugged once as well. This is when I found out that my son got a job offer out of state a few weeks ago. It's part of an apprenticeship through his trade school. He is considering it and this was one of the reasons for the recent tension between him and his girlfriend. She wanted him to stay here, where her family is, and he wanted her to go with him if he took the apprenticeship. It's almost twice the hourly rate he makes at his current job, and the apprenticeship will pay for some of his time spent in classes, although the cost of living is higher there as well. Some people pointed out that my son is a bit misogynistic, and I initially thought that may be a bit true, and I learned part of that is from some of the examples he has seen in my home. I talked to him about this and discovered that he sees things about my marriage in a way they were never meant to be seen. One thing that my son pointed out to me was this thing my wife and I call my magic coffee cup. You see, when my wife is home, I am not allowed to make my own coffee. My wife has always made my coffee since we first started dating. This isn't something I have ever demanded, it's just the way things have always been. It became a joke between my wife and I when we were dating that my coffee cup must be magic because I've never had to fill it myself. Now, after many years of marriage, it's become something I don't even think about. My wife will pick my empty cup up and say some silly magic words like hocus pocus, or bibbidi bobbidi boo while waving her hands over it, and then she takes it to the kitchen and makes me a fresh cup. Sometimes I will pick up my empty cup and say some magic words and then shake the cup or peek inside and then in a pitiful whiny voice say to my wife, "Honey, my magic cup isn't working again." The few times I have tried to make my own coffee when she is home, she gets up, hip checks me out of the way, and makes it for me. I learned my lesson long ago, but my kids never saw that play out when it first developed. This is not the misogynistic act my oldest son believes it to be. I do not think it is my wife's place to have to slave for me by making my coffee. She does it because she loves doing it, not because she has to. If she told me today that I had to make my coffee from now on, I won't say a peep. I'll kiss my wife and go make my coffee. This has become part of another running joke that we have going. The joke is we each don't let the other do specific things around the house so that the other forgets how to do them so we can never leave each other. Officially, I do all the laundry, and she does all the dishes. In reality she does wash the occasional load and I do the dishes every once in a while, but we never admit to doing so. I learned to cook her favorite food so she forgot how to make them, and she does the same for mine. For example, she can't make eggs over easy anymore, and I've forgotten how to make a good slop, which is sausage and egg noodles in cream of mushroom and topped with fried onions, terrible for you but so good. This, and other little quirks, is part of our love language, and it has taken many years for it to develop. My son mistook the nuanced unspoken, or joked about, parts of our marriage for some sort of male-female traditional marriage role BS. He was seeing the end result of years of small compromises, fights, agreements, and other stuff that lead to the way our marriage works today. Now, while I was having that talk with my oldest boy, my wife and daughter were talking with his ex-girlfriend. We all really like her, and would hate to see them broken up forever. They discovered all the things my son wasn't telling me. From what they learned, my oldest son has been listening to certain podcasters and TikTok influencers that are very misogynistic. My son wanting her to move out of state with him, while she was reluctant to do so, is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to their real problems. When they talked about their futures they had wildly differing views on what those futures would be like. For example, he got it stuck in his head that women should do the lion's share of the housework. To be fair, doing the dishes seems like it takes a lot more effort than doing laundry, since most of the time is spent waiting for a dryer cycle to finish. But doing the laundry is more than just washing and folding clothes while watching TV or playing video games. It's changing the linens, changing out the towels and robes in the bathrooms, and changing out and cleaning the curtains around the home. None of my kids has ever had to put fresh sheets on their beds, because I do it for them. My wife has done our bed maybe once in the last half dozen years. Laundry, like dishes, are monsters that you battle endlessly. In a good marriage you and your partner fights those battles side by side, no matter how you spilt up the workload exactly. Anyway, I hate to see them remain broken up, but my son needs to grow up a bit before that has any hope of happening. I suggested therapy, though I doubt my son will look into it. He's at the age where he thinks he knows everything. He hasn't attained the wisdom to realize that no matter how perfect we think we are, everyone screws up, and sometimes the way we think is very very wrong. Patrick, I love you, but you need to get your head out of your ass. TLDR. My oldest boy and his girlfriend look to be going their separate ways for now. Comments. Commenter 1. Always love parents who will say how it is and not try to give excuses for their kids' behaviors even if it means hurting their own feelings in the process. TikTok influencers like Andrew Tate push out misogynistic videos all the time that attract young adults who are underdeveloped emotionally to sell their own propaganda and make money off of. It's best to avoid them and sit down with your son and explain to him why it's bad for his mental health and his future partners. I hope the best for your son as he's still learning lessons such as this one you showed him. You're a great dad. Commenter 2. Wondering how often the ex was around OOP and his wife and later got to hear him twisting his parents' healthy relationship into something different. My dad never had to ask for a drink, my mom just refills his cup whenever it's empty. Reply, my daughter and my son's ex are still friends, and she still comes over. Even when they were still together I saw her more than I did him. She gets along great with my daughter and my wife. Honestly I don't know how to feel about her still coming around even though they aren't together. I don't want coming over to be awkward for my son, but I'm not going to tell my daughter who she can be friends with. That said, she now knows the background on this magic cup bit that my wife and I do. Yesterday she took my cup and stared at my wife dead in the eyes and said, "Hocus pocus," before running into the kitchen with my cup. My wife chased after her laughing to get my cup back before my son's ex could make me a coffee. Stories number 8. Mayasael was neglecting a baby she was babysitting. I told his mom and now my life might be miserable for a while. I have a 10-month-old boy, Mayasael has a 9-month-old boy. Mayasael called yesterday and asked if her boyfriend, not her son's dad, her baby, and the baby she was babysitting, baby Z, could come stop by the house just for a minute. I said oh sure we'd love some cousin time. I made some baby-friendly snacks for the kids and then they showed up soon after. Now when they came in she sat her son, and baby Z in their car seat still. Now within 2 minutes she pulled her son out of his car seat. She left baby Z in his car seat. She had this baby sitting in his car seat for 40 minutes before I said hey guys this baby smells like he has a dirty diaper and he's getting fussy. I was already pissed they were leaving this baby in his car seat and not letting him out to play with the other babies. For the next 20 minutes her and her boyfriend argued back and forth saying I'm not changing this baby, you do it. Just bickering about who's gonna change this little baby's diaper that they were both getting paid to watch. I was livid and so glad I've never let them keep my son before and knew they would never watch my son just from watching this interaction. I ended up pulling this boy from his car seat and changing his diaper and getting him a new outfit. Baby Z had blood blisters on his butt and I had to put him in the bath to get the cakes up poop off because I didn't want to scrub it with wipes since I knew it had to be so sore. I knew the baby's mother but haven't really had any conversations with her. Just knew her from around town. I stepped outside and called her on Facebook to tell her the situation. I said I would keep him here with me if she felt more comfortable with it since Sil and her boyfriend were straight up neglecting this baby. His mom thanked me and said she'd really appreciate it and she would come to my house to pick him up and pay me what they were supposed to pay Sil. I walked back in and they were getting ready to leave. I told Sil I had just talked with the baby's mom and she'd feel better if he was left with me and my son. I told her go ahead and call her to double check, but her and her boyfriend were not leaving with the baby. Sil has trashed me to every family member she can think of. She's made a Facebook post about how I thrive off drama and creating rumors about her. I've had my husband's other sister ride by my house yelling slurs and throwing eggs at my house last night. I've never ever been in a situation like this before where I was just witnessing straight up neglecting of a child. I feel I should have acted sooner and it's making my stomach turn. I hate drama but our small town really thrives off of it. I'm not sure if I should just ignore these people. Or if I should stand up and tell people what really happened and out Sil to the town. Edit to add, the baby's mother is making a post today to out Sil with receipts of the incident. I'm waiting for that and hoping coming from the baby's mother it would actually be heard and believed. Comments. Commenter 1. Tell everyone. The truth shall set you free. Commenter 2. This anyone mad at you for speaking up is showing you who they really are. Let them be mad, you did the right thing. Commenter 3. WTH stuff I never understand. Have you actually spoke to his family, the people giving you abuse, that she was neglecting the child? Because who the hell can defend her? Reply, his other sister doesn't believe me. His mom is just defending the behavior. The only person who actually believes so far is my husband. My husband said he's speaking with some of his family today to try and clear up the situation. So I'll know later today how that goes. Commenter 4. Your husband's family sounds, well, like they suck. Have they always been this awful? Reply, they do suck. I would already never allow his mom or dad to watch our baby. His mom is a crackhead who also neglected my husband and his siblings. And his dad is an alcoholic who beat my husband and his siblings. My BIL is in prison for abusing his baby and baby's mother. I genuinely believe my two SIL were some of the decent people in the family. This situation has opened my eyes to the fact that is not the case. Update. So I posted yesterday about my SIL neglecting a baby she was babysitting. I see a lot of people wanted to see an update after the baby's mom shared a post to our SIL to the town. Well, she shared it with really disturbing images of what the baby's bottom looked like. She also tagged me in it so anybody on my friends list would see it as well. My SIL is still fuming and believes I should have just kept my mouth shut. My other SIL has went from not believing me at all to defending her sister. Husband's mother is still defending the behavior. My husband has made it known to his family if they are mad at me then they are also mad at him. He's cut all contact with his sisters and mother. He told me he was really just waiting for a legitimate reason to cut them out of our lives and this was the right scenario. He doesn't want his kids raised around people who defend child abuse and child neglect. The baby's mother also filed a report with CPS and the police. She's hoping maybe she would get convicted because then with a negligence charge on her she definitely would never get a job working with children. I have filed a report for the egging of my house. We don't have any cameras so there's really no proof. The police in our county really let a lot of things go so I'm not holding my breath that anything will actually be done. I've come to terms with this. I'm sad my son won't have a close relationship with his cousins anymore but I'm hoping maybe with CPS and cops involved they will take a look in her home and keep her accountable for taking care of her own son. My real friends and my family are 100% on my side. I guess this was a good thing. My SAL won't be trusted by anybody in this town to be anyone's babysitter. And it had weeded out all the bad people me and my husband shouldn't be close with anyways. Anybody who will defend a child abuser is not anybody we'd want in our circle anyways. Comments. Commenter 1. 1 day ago, thank you for speaking up for this innocent child. I worked as a pediatric nurse for years and your SIL as well as those defending her are pure filth. Absolutely disgusting and horrendous behavior to do this to a poor baby. I hope karma catches up with them. SIL should never be allowed to care for not just kids but elderly as well as animals. Reply, that's another scary thing, she was actually a CNA but ended up getting fired from the nursing home because a video of her waving a gun at people at the gas station was posted on the town's Facebook group. She had her baby with her and I'm really not sure how she wasn't charged or her baby wasn't taken from her. Now she works at a nursing home in the next town over. Commenter 2. If she won't even change an infant, there's no way she is changing those old folks. I've wiped a lot of old asses, nurse here, and I'd take a baby over a 200 pounds thrashing and cussing adult any day. An infant is a cakewalk. Stories number 9. Aita for telling my disabled coworker she shouldn't need to lie on dating apps. This is a tough one and I'm genuinely curious to know what people think, so here goes. I have a coworker called Caroline, who as you can guess, is disabled. She's in a motorized wheelchair, and can't really move a lot but is still very capable of her job, and a lovely, fun person in general BTW. We were talking on a break about dating and dating apps, how I had never used one and how she did, talking about her experiences. Casual conversation, really, and we were careful not to go into detail or anything or make each other uncomfortable till this came up. She brought up how she didn't disclose that she was in a wheelchair disabled on her Tinder bio because it tended to scare people off or make people uncomfortable when they chat through the app. This confused me because it's very obvious she is in a wheelchair and if they went on a date in person they would find that out very fast. There is absolutely no way she can function in daily life without it, so she can't exactly stash it nearby or something and just sit on a chair during the date. She also told me that she does not tell them at all until they show up to the date and see the fact she is in a wheelchair right in front of them. Anyway, I, maybe stupidly, pointed out that is it not dishonest to not share that she is in a wheelchair on her bio, or disclose it to potential partners before meeting for the first time. She told me that everyone on dating apps lies about stuff so she didn't see the big deal. I told Caroline that it's not like hiding you have a twin or an accent or a particular way of looking, this is something that will heavily impact their dating life with you and they should be aware of that going in. She's a wonderful person and shouldn't feel awkward about it, and there are plenty of people out there who aren't fazed by their partners being in wheelchairs, so I didn't think she should lie about it. She went off in a huff saying I didn't understand, but now I'm worried I've somehow been the asshole by telling her this. I know it's not really my business and I never would have told her this if she didn't ask me, hadn't brought the subject up at all. I just didn't want to lie to her about what I thought and I tried to be tactful but I think it blew up in my face. Am I the asshole? Quick clarifications. She asked what I thought when she mentioned how she hid her disability on the app. I'm guessing she saw my surprise in my face when she said that. I would never tell her, or anyone, my opinion on a delicate matter like this if they didn't ask me first. Consensus, no asshole here. Most commenters point out it's a bad idea to surprise a date with a disability. Update. Since there's been a few questions or comments about various parts of this I feel obligated to share more info. I apologized immediately after she got huffy with me, I did not just let the matter sit. Whilst she is still a little bit off with me, we have not stopped speaking by any means. Whilst she is a coworker, I would say we are also light friends given we get dinner together once a week and catch movies together, share hobbies etc. But I don't know how well our connection would be if we didn't see each other 5 days a week, if that makes any sense. There are people you meet through work that become lifelong friends and those that are friends throughout their shared workplace but fade after. I just don't know where we stand in terms of that yet. I have stated, and continue to point out, that I never would have said what I thought if she had not asked me for my opinion. It isn't my business how she dates, and I fully understand, even if I can't relate, that dating with a disability is not easy and there is a lot of warning signs she needs to be aware of, like people with fetishes and so on, and I recognize that she should not put the information in her bio, however, to not disclose it before the first date, when they are about to meet in person for the first time, is the main point. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we met today at work and had lunch together, as we often do, and she brought up the conversation from the other day. Caroline admitted that she wasn't angry with me but more with herself, because, in her words, I know it isn't right to not tell them if we're going to meet up, but I think it's easier to hide it at first and judge their reaction in person. I know it's not the right thing to do if I really like a guy but sometimes it's less daunting when they don't know. I explained I understood and that I didn't judge her, I just hoped she could understand that she asked me what I thought and I don't like to lie but I probably should have not said anything. We agreed that it's a very nuanced subject and each person with disabilities has it different, so it's hard to say what works for each person. Caroline said she would try being more honest in the future with potential partners and I said it wasn't my place to judge and I wished her luck with dating in the future. All in all, we both acknowledged we were both assholes, and not assholes. It's a difficult subject and neither of us has a place to say what everyone should or shouldn't do when dating. Stories number 10. My daughter asked me how would I feel if she was pregnant. Just found out my daughter is sexually active, and now I'm trying to figure out how to handle it. February 26, 2025. I'm a single dad to my lovely daughter, Kiki, who's 16 now. She's got a boyfriend, and I trust him, he seems like a good guy. Yesterday, Kiki asked me to take her to Dollar General. When she came back, she had a bag, and I noticed the receipt she left on the car seat. It showed she bought condoms and multiple pregnancy test, and I was completely taken aback. I went to her room, and she was on the phone with her boyfriend. I usually let her have her space because I want her to feel independent as a teenager. Just trying to be a good dad here. While I was cooking, I couldn't shake the thought of my daughter doing that, so I just asked her. She said she was, and my heart just sank. I felt a mix of happiness and sadness. My little girl is growing up and taking on adult stuff. How can I help her? Or should I just let her figure it out? I don't know if it's the right move to support her or not. I've been doing this on my own for 5 years, and I still feel like I'm winging it. Relevant comments. Isn't my daughter a little young for this? Reply. I mean, I was 16 when I started and 18 when I became a father. So yeah, it is a bit young, but I honestly can't stop her because that'll just force her to start hiding stuff from me. Commenter 1. You're a good dad. Keep in mind with this political climate she may have a hard time accessing an abortion should she need one, causing what would be an already traumatic experience to just be so much worse. She needs to have a real conversation with someone that understands women's reproductive health and can guide her into making the adult choices because she's now in an adult situation. This could be a doctor, this could be an aunt, it could be a family friend. Just make sure that they know what they're talking about, and that they are not inhibited by their own belief system. She deserves the truth and she deserves to make her own choices without someone presenting her with biased information. She may also need to hear that just because you said okay once doesn't mean that blanket consent was given. Talk. She can withdraw her consent at any time because it happens with her body. Reply. Thank you. I will make sure that she know that she is in control of her body and she doesn't have to say yes to everything. My daughter asked me how would I feel if she was pregnant. My daughter Kiki, who's 16, came to me like it was no big deal and suddenly asked, Dad, how would you feel if I was pregnant? I told her I'd be a bit disappointed and mad but I'd still support her. She smiled, looked at me for a moment, then just got up and left the house. Later, she came back with bags of food, acting totally chill and like nothing happened. Now, she's been hitting me with all these pregnant-related questions, like, how would you feel if I had a baby, would you want a grandkid, and I'm just wondering why she's asking all this. Any thoughts on how I should talk to her about it? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, sound like she either pregnant and testing the waters. Or is planning on having sex and worried she may get pregnant. Oh, maybe she just winding you up, to see what you're gonna do. Reply, she does like to test me a lot. Commenter 2, curious OP, did you two ever have the sex talk? Safe sex, contraception options, abortion, all that jazz. Reply, yes we have. Does OOP have other children besides his daughter? Reply, she's an only child. Update, a lot of people asked for it, so here's what's up. I had a heart-to-heart with my daughter. I just came out and asked her, are you pregnant? She laughed and then looked at me like I was crazy and said, Dad, are you really asking me that? I pushed a bit, saying, just tell me. She said no. I told her to take a pregnancy test, and it came back negative. When I asked why she was asking all those pregnancy questions, she said she was just curious about her mom's pregnancy and wanted to understand it from her perspective. I suggested enrolling her in a program for young women where older women mentors could help her out with questions about cycles, pregnancy, and all that stuff. They'd probably explain things better than I could. But she was adamant that she didn't want to talk to anyone else, she wanted her mom. She insisted that other women couldn't help her with this, and neither could I. I had no idea this was about more than just pregnancy stuff, and honestly, I don't know how to help her with it. Edit, apparently the last post got removed so here it is. My daughter asked me how would I feel if she was pregnant. My daughter Kiki, who's 16, came to me like it was no big deal and suddenly asked, Dad, how would you feel if I was pregnant? I told her I'd be a bit disappointed and mad but I'd still support her. She smiled, looked at me for a moment, then just got up and left the house. Later, she came back with bags of food, acting totally chill and like nothing happened. Now, she's been hitting me with all these pregnant-related questions, like, how would you feel if I had a baby, would you want a grandkid, and I'm just wondering why she's asking all this. Any thoughts on how I should talk to her about it? Edit 2, I have deleted the comment of me not knowing. Bunch of people have said it was stupid etc. how I didn't know how she died. I don't know how she passed. She passed the night of our daughter's birthday. I only named things I thought and the doctor made assumptions about. I don't know the exact details or reason why or how she died. I am sorry I cannot provide you with this information but I don't know the truth to her death. I have thought plenty of times that she deleted herself from this world but then again me and her prayed and tried for our daughter, I am not sure how or why she left I just labeled some things. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, do you remember any stories or nice memories from when her mom was pregnant with her? Maybe your daughter hearing some anecdotes or nice or funny memories would help her feel close to her mom. Reply, they're the thing, I don't. My wife had a very horrible and hard pregnancy. She was constantly feeling sick, couldn't sleep, couldn't walk, constantly crying, suicidal thoughts, etc. It was horrible. The only nice story I could tell her was when her mom documented her finding out she was pregnant, and then I have the ultrasound pictures. Does I know how his wife passed? Reply, to be completely honest, I'm not sure how she died. Doctors say it could have been the postpartum depression, breastfeeding struggles, lack of exercise, lack of drinking, or something to do with her health after the pregnancy. Commenter 2, oh, she wants to know about her mother. I agree with not lying, but saying it was a hard pregnancy yet worth it because daughter is XYZ, funny, smart, excellent at a sport. Doesn't give her a false narrative, gives her the reality of pregnancy. Also, you can share how excited you both were before the pregnancy got hard too. I'm not here to judge, but if she was planned it might be wise to throw in a few. It was a good thing we were stable and, married, employed, educated, etc., to support a difficult pregnancy. Reply, yes, she was planned. Our miracle rainbow baby. Stories number 11. My husband wants me to quit my job now we have children and he makes enough money. I love my work and the thought of being a housewife is torture to me. If I don't quit, he's leaving me. For anonymity I can't go into details, but my husband, 34M, has developed something in IT that's well known and it made him rich. I, 38F, am a chef and I make probably 1/100 of what he does. It doesn't matter for me however because I love my job. We have a great life together. We had our first child, a baby girl 3 years ago and our twin boys are 9 months old. I have a few months left of my maternity leave, and with the country closing up again because of the new Omicron variant, I started getting worried that my workplace won't take me back. I voiced my worries to my husband a couple of days ago and he just shrugged and said it's not like we needed the money. I was confused and told him that I knew that. It wasn't about the money. He just shrugged. I was a bit annoyed tbh because I thought he didn't think it a big deal that I became out of work. Yesterday, I was still thinking about it so I decided to talk to him again. He was confused and told me that I should instead be happy that I could spend more time with my babies. And he asked me why I insisted on working when we have 3 small children and he made enough money for both of us. He didn't like me working 4 to 5 evenings a week including 1 to 2 weekends a month. I told him that I love my job and that I'm good at it. I have been doing it for almost 20 years now and that just the thought of not doing anything for the rest of my life is suffocating. He was visibly upset by then and he accused me of loving my job more than my babies and him. I could always cook at home for the family and if I was worried I would lose my independence he could transfer the same amount I earn from my job to my private account monthly. I started crying and he kissed and hugged me and told me that he loved me but he has been thinking of this since our girl was born and he didn't like me coming home late at night. So I needed to choose between my job or being a family. I was startled. Did he mean it as an ultimatum? He did. He actually wants me to be a housewife or we go our separate ways. I went to my mom's place first thing this morning. She listened to me talking and crying but when I finished she wasn't indignant on my behalf, like I expected. She was silent for a while and then she asked me to think carefully about my next move. If we got divorced I need to think about my babies. I will never be able to give them the life their dad is giving them and I might lose them because of it. Is it worth it to change their lives so drastically and have them live in 2 separate houses? All that for a job. I have worked my whole adult life and I just could see this as an early retirement. Many dreamed of this, why couldn't I enjoy it? I wasn't expecting my mom saying these things. She's always been this strong independent woman who raised us to be independent and taught me to never rely 100% on anyone other than myself. Hearing her say all that made me question my feelings. Before I met her I was totally sure I was right being hurt and angry but now I think maybe I'm overreacting and that my husband's request wasn't that unreasonable. But if that's the case why do I feel like my heart is swollen in my throat? Why does it feel like he made this ultimatum because he knew he has power and he's using it? Throw any suggestion or advice my way and please be honest, not rude, honest, because I feel I'm wronged here and I'm having a hard time thinking from my husband's perspective. Update. So I have posted here about 2 weeks ago about my husband not wanting me to go back to work after maternity leave. I got a lot of real good advice. I just want to clarify some things about my post that many seem to have misinterpreted. I'm sorry my language wasn't very clear. I don't work 4 to 5 days plus weekends. I work 35 to 45 each week in total and sometimes it's during the weekend. Staying at home mom isn't normal in my country. Daycare is free and we don't have nanny. I'm saying this because I want you to understand why I was taken aback about this whole situation. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to stay-at-home moms. He can't get sole custody just because of his wealth. Or because of my work hours. It doesn't work like this here, thank God. But I'm thankful for those who expressed worry about that because I know this is the sad reality in other parts of the world. So to the update, I have had long talks with my husband about all of what happened trying to understand his POV. I have told him that I can't see myself as a housewife, ever, but that I am willing to start looking for jobs with better hours or that I can finally start my own restaurant. I could start searching for a location in office buildings and start a lunch spot so then I don't need to work evenings and weekends. He didn't seem happy at all with that suggestion. He asked me why I'm so insistent on going back to work. He said these last months have been the happiest of his life coming home from work every day to his family, and that he thought I am happy too. I am. I love being with my babies all day, but just because I'm enjoying my maternity leave it doesn't mean I don't want to go back to work. In fact, I'm enjoying every minute now because I know it's not permanent. We had a row. He said he's always felt that I'm scared of him making much more money and that I'm scared of being dependent on him, so if I'm insisting on working because I don't want to be dependent, he could pay me 10x what I earn to stay home. I started crying and told him I'm not going to be a housewife and I don't accept ultimatums, so he should do what he felt fit. He said he's tired of going around feeling that his wife is intimidated by his success. He's doing this for both of us. I have to admit that I'm sometimes scared of him having more power than me. He said it's all in my head, but really would he ever dare to ask me to quit my job if he didn't feel he had the power to do it? Could I ask him to quit his job with that same ease? There's no denying the power dynamics in our relationship and I have all the right to be scared of it. So there was no progress really, and no matter how much I explained myself he doesn't seem to understand me. And probably he feels the same way with me. It feels like we're on different levels. I have suggested counseling. He said he will think about it. Now we're just civil to each other, but we don't talk much and we haven't been intimate since I first brought up going back to work. I love him and I miss him. I don't want it to end, but the ball is in his court now. My mom is very angry with me. We haven't spoken for a week. I don't know what to do with her either. Update 2. Thank you everyone for the support. I won't be able to make any more updates because you're only allowed one. This is however not a big update, so I thought I could just add it here before the post gets locked. I will not delete this account in case I need more advice or have another update in the future that I can post as a new subject. My husband and I talked yesterday, for the first time in 2 weeks, and he was the one who initiated the conversation. I saw my chance to try to find out why he's behaving like this and at the same time make sure that he knows that I'm not backing up. I told him that while I'm enjoying my maternity leave, the thought of it being for the rest of my life suffocated me. I suffer from severe claustrophobia. I don't know if it has anything to do with this. I asked him why he's doing this. He knew my job was important to me, so why was he making this impossible request when he knew it would mean the end of us? If you are having second thoughts about our marriage and want an out, please just tell me the truth. He became very upset and accused me of trying to gaslight him. He said his reasons are legit, there's nothing wrong with wanting his wife to be there for her family, and the children won't stop needing me just because they went to school. I started crying, sorry I'm a crybaby, and I told him if this is over he should know it's all on him. He started yelling, and oh, it was because I'm too stubborn and too self-involved to actually take a second and think about his wishes. I wanted to leave because I couldn't be with him anymore, but he said that it would be more convenient if he did. He's moved to our city apartment. I feel lost and hurt. I love him so much, but I don't think continuing this relationship is healthy for either of us. My heart is breaking for my children. I don't know what to do. For now I will just sit tight and wait for him to send me the divorce papers. Thank you again for the help and advice. It helped a lot. P.S. Mom was here yesterday. We talked a lot and she's finally getting on my side. I knew that when it came to it, she will be on my side and I'm so grateful. We're separating. Thank you everyone for the support. My husband and I are separating. This is what he wants. As I suspected, this was more than just me going back to work. He's been feeling resentment towards a lot of things about me, many of them I can't change and the rest I don't want to change. It's not his or my fault. We're just not compatible with each other anymore. I still have 14 months with my babies. Afterwards all children are big enough for shared custody. I'm staying in the big house for now, but after divorce I'm going to move back to the city. I have been talking to my boss about my job. She will help me find a schedule around having the children, so maybe I will work lunch hours the weeks I have them. My ambition is still to open my own, but maybe a bit further in the future. I still love him. I thought we were inseparable, but when he started resenting the very same things he loved about me I knew this was hopeless. It sucks big time and hurts like hell, but here we are. Stories number 12. My 33F husband, 36M, may have cheated on me with my dead best friend, and had an affair baby. I don't even know where to start. The past 6 months have been an absolute clusterfuck, and it only seems to be getting worse. My best friend since elementary school, who I'll call Alice, passed away in February from cancer. She had a 2-year-old daughter who went into the custody of her mom after she passed away, who I'll call Alexis. Last month Alexis showed up on our doorstep unannounced, telling my husband he needs to take responsibility for his child and either take custody or start finally paying child support. She says that Alice had told her when her daughter was born who the father was, but didn't want anything to do with him. To answer the inevitable, Alice was a traveling nurse and made a lot of money, which is the only reason I can think of for why she didn't go for child support. During this conversation my husband had the worst panic attack he's ever had, so we had to end the conversation before I could get more details. My husband's story is I don't even know. He said that Alice's daughter is probably his, but that it isn't what I think. Almost 3 years ago we threw a large housewarming party as we just moved into our dream home, after I finally finished residency and was set to make real money for once. Alice was in town, and set to be at the party, but I was called into work before she got there. I didn't get back till after 3 a.m., party was winding down, my husband was passed out upstairs, and Alice had already left the party, which at the time I did find strange as we hadn't seen each other in months. My husband claims he woke up in the middle of the night to Alice on top of him, but he passed out again before he could say anything. He claims he never told me because he was worried I wouldn't believe him, which I don't know if I do. He showed me some texts he sent his best friend the next day asking for his advice about him thinking someone raped him, but if he cheated he could have had that conversation as evidence, especially since he never said Alice specifically. Ever since the party he has been very distant with Alice, and after she had her daughter he would even find excuses not to be around the house when she would visit at all. I don't know if that's because he cheated, or if Alice did actually rape him and this was his trauma response. Honestly Reddit, I don't know what to do. I've known Alice since we were children and she had never come across as that kind of person. But I've also known my husband for over a decade and he's not once ever given the inclination of a cheater. He's an attractive guy and I've seen the looks he gets at the gym and he's never even given more than a glance. What the hell should I do? How do I figure out what the truth is here when Alice isn't even around to defend herself? She never even implied she liked my husband, let alone want to sleep with him. I told my husband he needs to get a DNA test before anything is decided on the child's part, but in the meantime he needs to move out while I think about what I'm going to do here. TLDR, husband maybe has an affair baby, he claims he was raped by my dead best friend. Comments. Commenter 1. Wow OP that is a mess. Paternity test for sure. The old text the next day sealed it for me, I think your friend took advantage of your husband. Commenter 2. There are a lot of comments suggesting a DNA test, but I think you and your husband should consider talking to a family law lawyer first to determine what may happen if the DNA establishes paternity. In all likelihood, his name is not on the birth certificate if Alice was hiding this encounter. I also don't know how your jurisdiction handles parental obligations in situations of rape. Your husband does not seem to be fighting the possibility, so a DNA test won't necessarily solve your marital issues and it may expose him to responsibility, financial and otherwise, that he clearly has not wanted for the last 2 years. Commenter 3. His reaction screams trauma response to me. Not being believed is a victim's worst nightmare. It's hard to be rational with these types of events, but could she have slipped him something? Did she have a history of one-night stands? Could they have been extra chummy because you weren't there and they were drinking? I find it odd she specifically asked about him the first time the baby was over and that she didn't approve of him, on what basis? Edit, lawyer up and then paternity test. Can you have a calm and collected conversation with your spouse that you want to believe him but you're also a mess emotionally and that you need a mediator together, therapist? But mostly lawyer up now. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. Reply, his reaction screams trauma response to me. Not being believed is a victim's worst nightmare. It's hard to be rational with these types of events, but could she have slipped him something? Did she have a history of one-night stands? Could they have been extra chummy because you weren't there and they were drinking? She was very free-spirited, and loved to regale me with her stories of being out on the road. She was very pretty so you can imagine she didn't do without when she wanted. As for them being chummy, I would have said no if you'd asked me in June. He was always nice to her, but she didn't like him much. I find it odd she specifically asked about him the first time the baby was over and that she didn't approve of him, on what basis? She knew I dreamed of being a doctor and was going places in life, while my husband from all outward appearances doesn't work that kind of job. He does contract work for companies, and the government in project planning. She figured I could, and should have, done better. Edit, lawyer up and then paternity test. Can you have a calm and collected conversation with your spouse that you want to believe him but you're also a mess emotionally and that you need a mediator together, therapist? But mostly lawyer up now. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. Thank you, I appreciate it. My husband is dealing with the DNA stuff, and should be contacting a lawyer as well. I'm not sure yet on a therapist, but I'll likely need one eventually. Update in the post after reading the comments. After talking with you, I've come to the realization that my husband is being truthful. My best friend raped him. Several people pointed out that with Alice not liking my husband, if it was an affair, she would have told me when she was dying, if only to separate us. You're absolutely right. I was there, in the room while she passed. I held her hands for days, we talked about so much. If it was just an affair, she would have told me, but if she raped my husband, she wouldn't have said a word. That's the type of thing horrible people take to the grave. I've also come to the realization that I made a terrible mistake asking my husband to leave for a few days while I gather my thoughts. Not to make excuses, but losing my best friend to cancer, a long cancer fight at that, was brutal. To say that I was devastated wouldn't do it justice. That it happened only 6 months ago, I'm still feeling it every day, so to have this thrown on me. It's like I'm losing her all over again. Either she betrayed me, and fucked my husband. Or she betrayed me and raped my husband. Not only have I lost her, but now I've lost the good memories, an entire lifetime's worth. It was impossible for me to look at him and not also see her, and be struck with the horror and realization of that loss all over again. I felt I needed to be able to break down, grieve, and think without the fresh wave of loss I got every time I saw him. It was wrong of me to ask him to leave, you're right though, and as of a few minutes ago I've righted this wrong. I called my husband, I apologized, told him I believe him, and begged him to come home. He'll be here in half an hour at most, and I'm going to support my husband the way I know he would have supported me. I've been an off and on Reddit user for several years, and sometimes the advice given on subreddits like these can be a bit hit or miss, but today you guys did good. You've helped me realize not only that I was wrong, and being stupid at that, but that I was hurting the person that needed me the most. I was selfish. I have no idea what we're going to do as far as the potential daughter is concerned, but I can assure you we'll deal with it together. It's going to take a lot of time, and probably a lot of therapy, to grieve this new loss. I feel numb now, as though I'll never cry again. My best friend raped my husband, which means she was no friend of mine. She flaunted it, coming to my house, sitting with me, and gabbing. She brought her child here, trying to rub it in his face, right in front of me. She tortured the man I loved, and I was an unknowing party to it. I feel sick to my stomach over how many times she came over, just to hold it over him. I'm honestly at a loss on how to make that up to him. If you all have any ideas, please feel free to give them to me. I think I'll need all the help I can get. Tomorrow I'm going to take a leave of absence from work, just until we can figure out our next steps, and we can get our heads on straight. Thank you everyone. Update. I've received a lot of messages asking for an update, so I've decided to finally sit down and write one out. As you can imagine, after the clusterfuck that was thrust upon us, this update isn't likely to answer any of your questions, only present a few more. I want to start by telling you all that I love, and trust my husband. My reaction to ask him for space to think, in retrospect, was wrong, but at the time I didn't know what to think. It was a combination of losing my best friend again, and also the fear that I was losing my husband, that sent me spiraling. Again, it was a mistake to ask him to leave, and I did rectify that in the end. Now, for the update. As mentioned in the original post, I did take a leave of absence from work and we spent a long time just being together. Talking, reaffirming our love for one another, and figuring out what to do next. We of course spoke with a lawyer, and my husband was very adamant about not having anything to do with the child, but was willing to offer financial support as needed. So we agreed to do a DNA test immediately to prove paternity, and then go from there. Didn't know you could buy tests on Amazon, but with only a few weeks processing it was the easiest path forward since Alexis lives hours away. To everyone's surprise, Alice's daughter is not my husband. We ended up testing twice, both very, very definitive. The first test we performed ourselves as mentioned, and another after Alexis refused to believe the first test, and took my husband to court for child support. For a single second this whole thing made me second guess if my husband was raped, that this could have been her way of forcing my husband to admit to an affair, but after talking with Alexis, I don't think that was the plan. Alexis says that Alice told her my husband was the father under strict confidence, demanding that she never, ever tell me or my husband. We were only ever to be told if Alexis died before Alice's daughter was old enough to take care of herself, so that she wouldn't end up in foster care. The only reason Alexis came to us then, instead of keeping that secret, is because Alice's life insurance wasn't being released yet, and she was out of options. She also felt I should know my husband and her daughter had had an affair. This all reaffirms in my mind that Alice did rape my husband, with the expectation of getting pregnant with his child. She obviously had other partners at the time, since one of them fathered her daughter, but no one knows who. It's clear to me that Alice believed it was my husband. I did suggest Alexis upload a sample to Ancestry, see if any matches pop up, but as Alice traveled all over for work, I don't know that anything will ever come of that. In truth, I've washed my hands of the situation. Alice did enough damage, and I don't particularly plan to be around for any more. My husband and I have gone through a lot of counseling, and will likely continue for a while. This whole situation damaged us both, my husband more obviously, and I don't think we'll fully heal for a very long while. To answer a few questions, no, sadly there isn't a hidden diary, or texts to explain what the fuck was going on. My husband and I are not getting divorced. He understands why I reacted the way I did, and has been strong when I was weak before. I've spent the past 7 months being strong while he was weak, so we're considering the whole thing even. We are still madly in love, and plan to be together for a long time still, more on this. No, we will not be adopting Alice's child. If she had been my husband's, we would not have been adopting the child. Ultimately I thank Reddit for setting me straight. There was a massive outpouring of support, and corrective advice. To say I got a slap in the face would be a descriptive but apt way to put it. I needed it then, and I thank you for it. To say that you may have saved my marriage is an understatement. I do however, have some good news. During my leave of absence, while my husband and I rediscovered what makes us love each other the most. I got pregnant. We're expecting our first baby, a girl, in a little over 3 months, and my husband and I are ecstatic. And no, we will not be naming her after my dead ex-best friend. TLDR, not my husband's baby, not our problem. No answers, just questions, and oh, I'm having a baby. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm willing to bet she was jealous of your life, and for a minute, wanted to know what it felt like to be you. So she waited for your husband to be in a vulnerable position, intoxicated and passed out and took her shot. She probably had random partners to either make her feel less guilty about raping him, or to try and get pregnant and really take a shot at him, making him believe her kid was his and maybe he'd kick you out and move her in. She probably told her mom it was your husband's child to save face and not have to say she didn't actually know. She probably figured no DNA test would be done, but even if it was, she wouldn't be here for the fallout. She truly was a shitty human being. I'm so happy for you both that it's not his child. It's bad enough she raped him, but to have to deal with a child on top of it would be horrible. Enjoy your little one, hopefully you can all put this behind you now. Commenter 2. Honestly I just think she wanted a child. She was sleeping with multiple PPL. Commenter 3. I hope for the sake of the child she finds answers regarding her dad, if that is something she eventually wants. Commenter 4. The Ancestry website thing was a good suggestion as a place to start. Stories number 13. My wife stopped taking her birth control without informing me. My wife and I have been married almost 9 months. We tied the knot last December. We came into the relationship both wanting children, however we had mutually discussed and agreed to wait until we owned a home, I finished school, and we had our finances in order more to start trying. The entirety of our relationship, she's been on the pill as her preferred method of birth control. My wife is out having dinner with her parents tonight while I'm hanging out at the house with some friends. She had ordered groceries to be delivered earlier today, and when they arrived I, of course, started to put things away. One of the items she purchased was a pregnancy test, which was such a shock that I literally felt my stomach drop when I saw it. Immediately I called her, and asked why on earth she ordered a pregnancy test. Turns out about a month ago she decided to stop taking her pill because she thought we were ready for children. I asked why she wouldn't get my input on something so huge and she replied that she wanted to surprise me. I told her there's literally 100 different surprises that I would prefer currently, told her I'd see her later, and ended the call. Her period is due later this week, so unless she plans on taking it early we won't know if she's pregnant for a few days. I'm livid. We are not in the position to become parents currently. I certainly don't want to be bringing a newborn into the world during a pandemic. I don't know if it's justified considering we are married and both eventually want children, but I feel absolutely betrayed that she would make a decision like this behind my back. We had even agreed that if somehow we got pregnant while she was on the pill that we wouldn't go through with the pregnancy. I know she'll be coming home soon, and honestly I don't even want to look at her right now or know what to say. Am I right to be upset about this? What should I do? I'm currently working a full-time job while pursuing my master's. I literally do not have the time to be a suitable parent. Edit, she just texted me. I'm so sorry that you're reacting this way. You've seemed really unhappy lately and I thought you would consider this good news. Comments. This is completely messed up, but what also stands out to me is her apology. Saying she's sorry you're reacting this way does not equals her being sorry for her actions. Link. Reply. I agree. She's always been a shitty apologizer because she rarely thinks she's wrong. Link. Any apology that starts with "I'm sorry you're" is not an apology. Starting a family is a decision you make together, not something you trick your partner with. Update: my wife stopped taking her birth control without informing me. I never expected the amount of replies I ended up receiving on my post, nor did I even realize the gravity of my wife's betrayal at the time of posting. I had a lot of people comment or reach out asking for an update, so here goes. I had made the decision that until we knew if she was pregnant or not, that I just wanted some distance to cool down from my initial anger and shock. I told the wife this, and spent a few days over at a buddy's house trying to process everything. Ironically, my wife's birthday fell within the days I wasn't home, so she's been extremely pissed at me, too. She ended up informing me this morning that she got her period and asked if that means I'm coming home now. I'm still feeling extremely betrayed by her, and although we did dodge the bullet this time around, I have so little trust in my wife now that I don't know if our relationship will be salvageable. I'd rather be a young divorcee than feel like I need to keep my condoms in a lockbox or something to prevent my own spouse from tampering with them. I'm not 100% sure if therapy would even be worth it considering she's still infallible in her own mind, but I guess if she sees the light and genuinely apologizes soon, I'd be willing to pursue it just because I do love her. As far as I'm concerned, the ball's in her court, and if she wants to try and make this right, it's going to take some actions on her part that show she's truly sorry and willing to earn my trust back. I'm not sure that even if she does make the effort that our relationship is reparable at this point, but maybe after some extensive couples therapy we can figure out exactly where our relationship went wrong, where she thought that behavior would be acceptable. Comments: please remember that there's a difference between apologizing for what she did, genuine remorse, and apologizing for getting caught. Gotta say, this doesn't bode well because it seems she obviously doesn't understand why you'd be upset and might miss her birthday. Stories number 14, 21F, drunkenly kissed a lifelong friend, 22M, at a party and he told me he loved me. How do I approach this? I mean, the title is pretty much it. James and I have been friends since 2nd grade. We have shared practically everything with each other. Been there for each other when no one else was. We tell each other, I love you, pretty often. He is my family. I don't drink much, ever, and James had begged me to come with him to his friend's apartment for drinks and games. I decided to let loose, bad move on my part, and drank too much. He had a bit to drink as well, but not nearly as much. He saw I was warm and loopy, so he took me out for some fresh air. Honestly, this bit is pretty fuzzy. I just remember laughing and going to kiss his cheek like I would my mother, but it didn't end that way. I missed and kinda hit the corner of his mouth, and he took that as an invitation to really kiss me. We kind of made out, and then he told me he loved me and I told him I loved him too, 'cause that's what we always say, but he responded with something like, no, like I am in love with you. And then I puked in a bush and he took me home, still quite embarrassed about it. It has been a couple days and neither of us has brought it up. I am kind of confused about my feelings. I haven't really been in love before, but I do love him and have always considered him my person. Am I being obtuse? How can I bring the topic up with him, because I do want to discuss it once I figure myself out. Comments: next time you guys are alone together, just say, hey, I wanted to talk about the other night. But I would 1000% please figure out your own feelings, what you want before you do that. I had a boyfriend woman when I was younger. We both got married to other people, divorced, caught feelings later and have been married for 22 years. Process how you feeling then talk it out. Sounds to me like it's worth exploring your feelings by seeing if a relationship will work. There's no safe as in avoiding hurt feelings, risking friendship, etc., way to know without trying. Just make sure it's logical. Does he treat you well? Is he honest? How has he treated partners in past relationships? Do you have compatible religious, political, financial views? And let the emotional figure it out. Link. Updated. 21F, drunkenly kissed a lifelong friend, 22M, at a party and he told me he loved me. How do I approach this? Update. Someone mentioned something about an update. I'm not sure if this is how it is meant to be done, so if anyone will even see it, but this is how I am doing it. So we talked and I was honest. I have been way overthinking this and really just confusing myself more and more. I came to terms with the fact that I was truly very into the kiss and enjoyed the thought kissing him even when I was sober. So I told him that, but I also told him how nervous I have been about our relationship because I have thought of him as someone who will be in my life forever since 6th grade, and I have never been lucky in love. The thought of us parting ways because our relationship goes south makes me feel legitimately ill, and I told him that too. I started off with the talking because he knew it was coming and I could tell he was incredibly nervous. But he seemed to loosen up as I continued. He actually smiled a little. After I finished my speech, he said, "Can I say something cheesy but true?" And I naturally replied with yes. He told me that he has loved me since middle school and that he never thought it would get this far. I am still utterly shocked by this. I seriously have never known. I was getting all flustered and shy because of a man I have literally shared everything with, which is bonkers. When I am with him, I am the most unapologetic version of myself, but he had me blushing. That pretty much solidified it for me. The only thing left to discuss was how to move forward, and he took the initiative and asked what it was that I wanted to do about this. I had been thinking about this for a day or so since unraveling how I felt about him. I suggested that we go on a real date, not just a hangout, if he would be okay with that. I understand that at this point, he is much deeper into this than I am, so I don't want to do anything to hurt him, but committing super hard would be a lie on my end and this feels necessary to explore. Honestly, it is a possibility that he could find out that I was better in his head or something. Anyway, he agreed and we are giving it a shot. I am very happy, and he seems to be as well. He was absolutely grinning once I offered up the date idea. He was tickled that I asked him out. It was very cute, so thank you to everyone for your suggestions and support. It was surprisingly helpful. This post was more like a diary entry than anything else, and reading it back is kind of cringe, but I am grateful nonetheless. If anyone is reading this, have a great day, love. Edit, any questions, concerns, or advice about the situation would be great. I am still a bit of a jumble and talking things out with someone usually helps. Comments, this is so wholesome. Sounds like you handled everything really well, being honest about your feelings, acknowledging your fears, and giving yourself space to explore things naturally. The fact that he's been in love with you for so long and was so happy when you asked him out is seriously adorable. Wishing you both the best on your date. Y'all are cute. When I don't have time for a rom-com, wholesome updates like this will do. Hope it keeps going well at a pace you're comfortable with. Stories number 15. My fiancée told me she was going on a girls' trip, so I had her plane ticket redirected. If you only read the title, I might sound like a controlling jerk. But I promise you, I'm not. I've been with my fiancée, Rachel, for 3 years. We got engaged 6 months ago, and everything seemed perfect, until I started noticing little things. Sudden late-night meetings, a new password on her phone, and the biggest red flag, a girls' trip she was oddly secretive about. I wasn't the jealous type, but something didn't sit right. So, I did something I never thought I'd do, I checked our shared airline account. Turns out, her girls' trip was actually a solo ticket to a tropical resort, booked under her name and another man's. I recognized his name. A friend from work. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I got to planning. I quietly canceled her ticket and rebooked it, to her parents' house. Same departure time, just a very different destination. I also compiled all the evidence, screenshots, texts I found on her old tablet, and even a few Venmo transactions that made things obvious. The day of the trip arrived. I drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye, and watched as she confidently walked inside. I had one of my friends tail her to see the moment she realized she wasn't heading to paradise with her affair partner. Her first call came 20 minutes later. I ignored it. The frantic texts followed. Rachel, why is my ticket wrong? Rachel, where are my bags? Rachel, did you do this? I didn't reply. Instead, I group texted her, her parents, and her older brother with a simple message. Hey, Rachel's on her way to see you. She has something important to explain. Check your emails for the full story. Hope she has a great stay. Then, I blocked her number. I don't know how things went when she landed, but judging by the 100 missed calls from her and a few from her mom, I'd say it wasn't pretty. Meanwhile, I changed the locks, packed up her things, and had them delivered to her parents' place. I spent that weekend with my best friends, having the celebratory drinks I didn't know I needed. So yeah, Rachel did go on a trip, just not the one she planned. Stories number 16. I, 29M, just spent another awkward holiday with my girlfriends, 28F, rich family. My girlfriend and I have been together almost 3 years. 99% of the time, we're great. She's funny and smart and we have a lot of shared interests. But every time we visit her family I start doubting everything. They are very wealthy, which by itself is not a bad thing, but they're also very fixated on being rich and have a habit of placing the monetary value of things, and people, over everything else. I come from a very middle-class background. I have a good education and a decent career that I really enjoy, but I'm definitely not rich. Because of this, they view me as a loser. For example, yesterday we made the 2-hour drive to her parents in my newish Honda. When we got there, her mom immediately ordered me to park the car behind the house so the neighbors wouldn't see it. She was furious we didn't bring girlfriend's Land Rover, which they bought for her as a birthday gift this year. Girlfriend doesn't like to drive on long trips and I'm not allowed to drive the Land Rover, for her parents, so we brought my Honda. Girlfriend's dad has never spoken to me directly. Even when she introduced me the first time, he turned to her and said, "What does he do?" So we went in the house and I gave her dad the usual, "Hi, Merry Christmas," and he gave me the usual disinterested glance. One more example, last year I made the mistake of bringing a bottle of wine. It was a $25 bottle, which was pricey for me, and I even had the wine store lady help me pick it out. Girlfriend's mom told me to put it in the kitchen, they didn't open it while we were there, and she later admitted to girlfriend they'd re-gifted it to their housekeeper because it was gas station hooch. We managed to get through the day yesterday without much drama except the car thing, which I'd normally consider a win. But today I keep thinking about the whole situation with her family and wondering if I'm really willing to deal with these people for the rest of my life. Girlfriend and I have tossed around the possibility of getting married more than once, but I know they'll never accept me. If we get married I'll have to see them a lot more than once a year. Girlfriend has given up trying to defend me to her parents and just ignores their bullshit most of the time, but I can tell it bothers her too. They bankroll a big chunk of her lifestyle and I think she's worried they'll cut her off if she pushes too hard. They've threatened to over other things. So, not to sound like an asshole, but am I wasting my time? Is this relationship doomed? Girlfriend always tells me she doesn't care what her family thinks, but I'm not sure that's true. She always tries to downplay how shitty they are to me. But I know I'll never be good enough for them, even if I'm good enough for her. TLDR, my girlfriend's rich parents think I'm a loser. Even though we're an otherwise great couple, I'm thinking about breaking up because I don't think she's willing to risk her financial security to stand up to them, and I can't see this relationship going anywhere if she doesn't. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Your girlfriend needs to be able to live without her parents' money before you consider marrying her. At the moment they are waiting you out, but probably do small things to undermine the relationship. They view you as the fun their daughter is having before she settles down for something real. They probably exclude you from vacations they would take her on, or family events. When they take a family photo they probably ask you to take the photo. Wealthy parents use money to control their adult children, as they have no other avenue to do so and they are used to being in control of everything. They get the kids addicted to nice things then make demands to continue the flow. Once they deem it serious they will work to prevent the marriage as they do not think you will be able to provide the lifestyle they want for her. They will withdraw funding for her dream wedding, they'll have legal documents drawn up detailing inheritance, divorce, child support, alimony, etc. for the relationship. They'll do anything they can to add stress to break it up, and they'll be very good at it. I grew up in a wealthy community, so I've met all sorts of rich people. Your girlfriend's parents are the asshole sort of rich people. With the importance of material goods they place and the way they act, I'd also wager they're also probably not as wealthy as they want you to think they are. Reply. Just reading this made me tired. I don't want anything to do with her family's money for pretty much every reason you just stated, though that hasn't stopped her mom from calling me a gold digger. Her parents do control her with money. Girlfriend is co-owner of a business and has a decent income of her own, but her lifestyle is way beyond what she's bringing in. She's really bad at managing her own money, has never had to make or stick to a budget and doesn't have much of a grasp on priorities when it comes to spending. Her parents pay for her townhouse and her credit cards. Whenever they get mad at her they threaten to suspend her cards and she freaks out because she doesn't have any of her own money set aside. Reply. She's really bad at managing her own money, has never had to make or stick to a budget and doesn't have much of a grasp on priorities when it comes to spending. Danger. Commenter 2. Your girlfriend is 28 years old, have a stable relationship for 3 years and yet daddy's still paying for her stuff. This alone is a red flag for me. People often talk about mama's boy but ignore how equally stupid is grown-ass women acting in the same way. If she got her shit together none of you would have to deal with their BS, but not only she apparently don't do it but also focus her efforts on make their behaviors look not that bad. That's not a good sign. OP. Imagine a few years from now your MIL making you look like shit in front of your children or FIL not even looking at your face but spoiling them with a shit ton of expensive gifts you know you'll never be able to buy for them. Cause if things keep like this, that's exactly the future you'll have. My advice is have a talk and be honest about how you don't see this situation getting better, how you honestly are tired of it and offer your support to her get on her own feet and have freedom. If she accepts the help you guys can make it work. If daddy's money is too important you'll know that this is a waste of your time. Update. TLDR for my original question, my girlfriend's rich asshole parents think I'm a loser. Even though we're an otherwise great couple, I'm thinking about breaking up because I don't think she's willing to risk her financial security to stand up to them, and I can't see this relationship going anywhere if she doesn't. I posted a few days ago on a throwaway account thinking it probably wouldn't go anywhere but hoping a few more experienced internet strangers might give me some insight. It got some attention and there was some solid advice and a lot of perspective on the whole situation, and I was like, okay, that was enlightening, and went on with my day. Girlfriend was working that night, so there wasn't much to do with all that info at the time, and I fell asleep while attempting to formulate my side of the big talk. Little did I know that post blew up overnight and made the front page, and girlfriend saw it. I didn't give any names, locations, but there was enough specific information that she had no trouble figuring out it was me. So Thursday, while at work and still unaware of all this, I got a dreaded "we need to talk" text. Yep, all caps. And I was like, welp, I'm dead. She was feeling hurt and angry when she sent that text, but she said she had time to read through some of the comments and think about things, and she wasn't as upset when she came to my apartment later. She brought food. Still, she said I had no right to tell the whole internet about our relationship problems, and I agreed, apologized. She knows I'm writing this update and she's going to read it before I post, the reason for that being she admitted the internet actually made some good points regarding our relationship problems. We talked for a long time Thursday night. She said she knows her parents treat people like shit and that they control her and her siblings with money. It's partially a cultural thing, according to her. Girlfriend was born and raised in the US, but her parents grew up rich in a different country and moved here a long time ago. She said they had a hard time assimilating with upper-class Americans and flaunt their wealth because they're socially insecure. Girlfriend also implied that kind behavior was a lot more acceptable in their home country in the 1980s and they never changed. She grew up seeing them act that way and, at least when she was younger, thought it was normal. On top of that, girlfriend's mom was as emotionally and physically abusive. She said her mom used to slap her for talking back and once cut up all of girlfriend's clothes and bedding after an argument over her going out with some high school friends. Girlfriend said she's still afraid of her mom and has a hard time standing up to her. She also got very little affection from her parents growing up. It seems like that was all replaced with material things. So, to her, being cut off from her family financially is the same as being cut off emotionally. All that being said, girlfriend doesn't expect me to visit her parents again. She was very apologetic about how they treated me and also about not calling them out. She was really hurt that I said I thought I was wasting my time in the earlier post, and I said I was sorry, and I am. I was still raging a little when I wrote that. I asked her about maybe letting her parents cut her off financially and living on her own. It wouldn't mean she has to go no contact, but their relationship would be based on something other than money. We've been talking about moving in together for a while now, and she actually suggested she move out of her townhouse, that her family pays for, and into my apartment. I'm totally fine this. We've been together for almost 3 years and I think we would have moved in together a while ago if her parents weren't so against it. She's really nervous about being on her own financially, but she's willing to try it. We spent hours yesterday going through her finances and coming up with a budget. It's going to be a big change in how she lives and thinks about things. I'm managing my expectations as far as spending is concerned. No one can change their habits overnight. We're not combining our finances or putting her name on the lease. The plan for now is to split the cost of rent and utilities, and she asked me to put her on an allowance for spending her own money. She also gave me the credit cards her parents paid for and told me to hide them. It's weird to me to have this much control over another person's finances. We're going to give it until my lease is up in March. My apartment is a little small for both of us and all our stuff, and then, assuming all this works out, we'll look for a place to officially live together. She isn't going to tell her parents right away, but she promised she will before March. TLDR. Thanks, Reddit, for telling me to grow some balls and talk to my girlfriend about her family situation. I did, and I think things are going to get better. Edit. To everyone who's wondering, her parents are from Mexico. Girlfriend has a job and her own income. She is the co-owner of a business and makes a decent living on her own, just not nearly enough to fund the kind of lifestyle she's used to. Also, before you say she shouldn't have been mad that he posted about their relationship on Reddit, please for 1 second put yourself in that situation. You're casually browsing the front page and find a post about your personal life that was obviously written by your boyfriend and makes you sound like a complete piece of shit. In that same post, your boyfriend says he's thinking about breaking up with you. That's now just out there for the whole world to read. You can't say that wouldn't be alarming. She said, it felt like a slap in the face, which made me feel pretty shitty for posting it at all. All things considered, I think she was pretty reasonable about it. Ultimately, she was cool about me posting the update, and actually wanted to make sure I thanked Reddit for the perspective. No, she is not demanding to approve this update. She's just involved now, as she should be since she's half of this relationship. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Dude, that's wonderful to hear. This is a really good eye-opener for her. She should bring everything she can of hers little by little to a safe location so her parents can't just decide that all her stuff actually belongs to them somehow. Reply. Tell her to grab all of her official documents, passports, birth certificates, savings bonds, from her parents. If they feel they can control her financially, they may also restrict access to those types of documents. Commenter 2. I wish you good luck, though I'm very skeptical about her pulling through. She happily took money from her parents until now, being 28. It would have been one thing to have a savings account filled by them, but they sponsored most of her lifestyle, so, yeah, good luck. Stories number 17. Aita for kicking my sister out of my house for telling my husband he's so lucky to be rich. My husband lost both of his parents when he was 17. Their deaths were preventable and others died alongside them, and because of this a lawsuit followed, and at a young age my husband found himself orphaned but wealthy. But I think we can all understand that this money wasn't some great thing that he celebrated because it came at a huge loss for him, his parents. We met a few years after he was awarded the money and we got married after dating for 4 years. We're now the proud parents to our 3 kids and we have a stable life. We're very comfortable and few know exactly how much my husband actually has. He's very smart with his money and not only invests but looks to our future and the future of each of our children. We both still work very hard, but the money means we are also very fortunate. My family, parents and sister, is aware that my husband's parents are dead. They also know about the lawsuit and that money was paid to the family members. They have no idea how much my husband has. Not my parents and definitely not my sister. But they know and were told how he'd give it all away to have his parents back, which is why I reacted strongly when my sister made the comment she did. We had my family over for dinner. My sister mentioned wanting to bring her boyfriend for any future dinners and everyone was talking about that. Then my sister mentioned wanting to go away with her boyfriend for the weekend and how they were saving up to go. She said it was a big step because they were also talking about moving in with each other. My husband mentioned we had gone to the place they were talking about going to and they'd have a great time. She said she hoped so, but she wouldn't have the same kind of money he does. He told her we did nothing fancy there, which is 100% true. My parents wanted to know when they were thinking of moving in together. Things were going fine. Then my sister out of nowhere said to my husband the least he could do was offer them the money for the weekend away since he could afford it. I shut her down and said she wasn't entitled to other people paying for her trips with her boyfriend. My sister responded that he could afford to send them for a month if he wanted to. My husband told her that was a big ask and she snapped at him and said he had no idea how lucky he was to be rich because she'd give anything to have that kind of money. The insensitivity of the comment enraged me and I told my sister she needed to leave. I made sure to get her ass out that door too because I wasn't tolerating that BS. My sister has told me almost every day since that I overreacted and throwing her out was OTT. I told her I don't want to hear anything but a sincere apology from her to my husband and until that point she can stay out of my house. My husband said I didn't need to stand by that and he didn't want to come between us. I told him he wasn't coming between us. She was. Aita for my actions, and am I being too harsh here? I just thinking that comment is downright cruel and vicious when you consider my husband had to be orphaned to get that money. Stories number 18. My girlfriend, 21F, has a crush on my M24 friend, M24, and I don't know how to deal with it. My girlfriend has been getting on well with my friend and I felt that something was up, just little things like her smiling a lot and laughing too much at his jokes. I talked to her about it and she admitted having a little crush on him. I told her I'm not mad at her and that she can't help how she feels, but I need time to think about us now. She is desperate for us to stay together. But the more I think about it, the more I think that we need to split up. I do trust her and don't believe she would do anything with him, but I'm crushed that she has feelings for someone else. I feel like my only options are either breaking up with her or cutting her out when I go out with friends, which would be unfair on her as she tells me she has more fun with my friends than she does with her own friends. Call me insecure, but I can't deal with having my girlfriend spend time with a guy who she has a crush on. Has anyone got advice on how to deal with this? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I mean, obviously it's an issue that needs to be addressed. But the conclusion you've rushed to is that the only way to deal with it is to break up with her. Isn't this something you two can handle as a couple? At least consider it first. Reply. My girlfriend has a pretty friend who I get on with. I work with a girl who is really pretty and we get on really well, and if I was single I would probably have a crush on her, but I don't have a crush on her or my girlfriend's friend because I am crazy in love with my girlfriend and have felt anything for them other than the odd sexual thought. Because of that, I don't understand how you can crush on someone if you are crazy in love with your boyfriend. This just does not make sense to me. As much as I love my girlfriend, I feel I deserve better than someone who cannot give me 100% of her love and affection. Thanks Reddit, but I think I have made up my mind. Commenter 2. How long have you been together? I can understand the insecurity if it's a relatively new relationship because you two should still be in the honeymoon phase. However, if it's a long-term relationship, you need to remind yourself she's in a relationship with you. You're the one who she goes home to at night and who she shares a life with. Set some boundaries. Ask her to tone down their interactions for your sake. Spend more time with her friends so you're not always with yours, and inevitably with him. Reply. 14 months together. I don't feel I even need to set boundaries. She's a great girl, she doesn't flirt with him or do anything to make me uncomfortable, I just know her really well, so was able to pick up on the way she is with him and knew she had a crush on him. I admit that I am insecure. Commenter 3. Well, good, that means you do have a lot trust in her. She's not doing anything wrong. But if you're willing to throw away a 14-month relationship over a crush, then it must not be all that great. Frankly, the problem does seem to be you. You need to work out your insecurities, whether through therapy or self-reflection or whatever other method works. I know it's incredibly uncomfortable to have to spend time with someone you know you're so has a crush on, but all you can do is trust that it will soon go away. Take this opportunity to be extra loving and attentive. Be more spontaneous, take her out on more dates and reignite that spark. Reply. Thanks. I've always been a great boyfriend to her. I've always been very loving and attentive, but that hasn't stopped her from getting a crush on someone else. I have been in relationships for most of my life and have never had a crush on another girl when I was in love, so I guess this proves that I care for her more than she cares for me. I can't blame her for having a crush, but I think I know what I need to do now, which is end it. Update. I was asked to give an update, so here goes. After being told I was overreacting in the original thread, I had a long talk with my sister. She assured me that I was not overreacting and that I was doing the right thing leaving her. She stated that in the 12 years she has been with her husband she has never had a crush on another guy. She helped me realize that my girlfriend has emotionally cheated by letting herself get feelings for him, and my girlfriend would have carried on seeing him letting her feelings develop if I never called her out on the way she was acting with him. I talked to my now ex-girlfriend and told her it was over. It went how I expected, with her crying and saying it's just a silly crush, but if she loved me as much as she says then she would not get feelings for someone else. I don't know what to tell my friends when they find out that we have broke up, as I don't want him to know that she has feelings for him. If he finds out, then I wouldn't be surprised if something happens between them, and if anything ever does happen between them then our friendship will be over. TLDR, girlfriend has feelings for my friend so I broke up with her. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. So you had a girlfriend who was upfront, respectful, honest, and willing to work through this, and who did not act upon anything and loved you. The choice is yours and the damage is done, but in the future you should maybe think about how instant train of thoughts like the one you had is going to result in no long-term relationships. There will always be issues like this in any relationship. The important thing is that both partners communicate, which she did, are respectful and honest, which she was by being upfront, realizing it's a stupid crush, and not acting upon those feelings, and loves their partner enough to work through anything together, which she was, in order for a relationship to last. Commenter 2. I'm not sure why everyone is downvoting you. You did what you thought was right for you. I'm in an LDR with my boyfriend, and with him I can't crush on any other guys. I don't feel attracted or need attention from any other guys, just him. Maybe I'm too faithful. But I don't think you did the wrong thing. You know how the Reddit community is. She's 21, she doesn't know better, but you're older and you don't want to play games and risk it. Relationships take work, and if it's not worth it then don't waste your time. If you stayed with her and next time you come with an update that she cheated on you with him or something, then everyone will call you stupid. Anyways, I just wanted to let you know you did it to protect yourself and not waste your time, so it's understandable. Final update. After everyone in the last thread insisted I was crazy and overreacted, I started to doubt myself, so I made the same thread on another forum, bodybuilding.com, for more opinions, and funnily enough everyone there was in unanimous agreement that I had made the right decision. I had been on NC since we broke up, but I gave in and she came to see me yesterday. She said she would do whatever it takes to make it work between us, and I told her I was unsure if things would be the same between us, but still she spent the night with me. She admitted that she was not innocent and that she made no effort to fight het crush, and agreed that she would spend less time with him. For now we are friends with benefits and we will spend Christmas apart. I will be watching her interactions with my friend closely, and if her behavior around him doesn't change then we will not be getting back together. TLDR, I'm hoping things work out between us, but she is essentially on a trial period for now, and if her behavior around my friend doesn't change then we will be breaking up for good. If you have girl problems go to a different forum, but thank you to the handful of posters who did give good advice. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I try to be fair when giving advice, admittedly sometimes too fair, but yes, I do think that you're being crazy. Sometimes we do catch feelings for other people when we're in relationships. It's a crush. A fleeting fancy, but what matters are actions. Her actions: she did not act on her attraction to your friend. She instead came to you because she wanted to be honest and work through it. And instead, you threw it back in her face and broke up with her and now hover over her interactions, waiting for her to slip up. You're also undoubtedly reading way too much into a lot of those actions. At this point, what incentive does she ever have to be honest with you in the future, if this is how you react? It would be reasonable for you to expect her to limit all interactions with him. It would be reasonable for y'all to work on your own relationship together. It would be reasonable for you to keep an eye out. But instead, you went completely postal and jumped the gun. That poor girl is trying to handle this in the best way she possibly could, but you're more interested in punishing her than in working through it. If I were you, I would be taking a hard look at my own behavior and the state of my relationship before immediately condemning her. This FWB bullshit is just that. You're basically keeping her on a string and making her dance for you while she desperately tries to fix this and make it right so that you'll take her back. And that is not an acceptable way to treat another human being, especially not one whom you claim to love. I understand that you're upset. I understand that your feelings are hurt and you're lashing out. But how could she really have handled this any differently? By lying to you? Would that have been better? Again, examine your relationship. What was missing that neither of you may have realized? What exactly about him is it that appeals to her? I'll leave you with this final thought: while I do think that you would be justified in limiting their interactions, completely disallowing all interaction isn't the way to get over a crush. Good luck. Reply: thanks for the response. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I feel she could have handled it better. She never attempted to fight her crush on him, but rather she encouraged it. For instance, when I would leave his place to get food or something, usually she would go with me, but lately she would stay with him. Before, when I invited her out with him, quite often she wouldn't feel like going, while lately she would never pass up the chance to spend time with him. She only admitted having a crush on him because I confronted her about it and told her it was becoming very obvious to me that she likes him as more than a friend, and it was making me uncomfortable. She would have continued letting her crush develop if I had not said anything. I'm honestly not trying to punish her by being FWB. I'm desperate for it to work out between us, but if she continues being flirty with him and if she doesn't make a conscious effort to get over him, then I want to be able to walk away, and that's why I'm hesitating about getting back together right now. Commenter 2. Okay, well, what is she willing to do about it? I still don't think that this gray area FWB crap is a good idea. Reply: she told me she will spend less time with him and will not flirt with him, but talk is cheap and her actions are what I will pay attention to. I'm not sure about the FWB situation, because until she can prove that she's making an effort to get over him, I will not be ready to get back in a relationship with her. She knows this, so it's not like I'm leading her on, giving her false hope. Realistically, I know we will not be able to stay just as friends. If she wants a cuddle or goes to kiss me, then I'm not strong enough to say no. Commenter 3. I have a related question: why are you even keeping this guy around? Reply: I don't intend to lose a friend, as he hasn't done anything wrong. This guy is part of my social circle, so unless I exclude her when I go out with friends, which I will not do, then she will see him. Commenter 4. No, but if she broke the limits of their relationships and you either stay together and work on things or break up. This FWB thing is the worst thing you can do with someone you just dumped. Reply: we will not be FWB beyond New Year, it's too painful for both of us. We saw my friend last night only for an hour or so and she wasn't flirting with him, and we will see him again on NYE, and if she doesn't flirt with him then we will get back together and then they will limit their time together. I will not force her to cut all contact, because then she would lose 3 friends and not just one, his roommates as well. Stories number 19. Found out my wife monitors parts of my life behind my back. I'm having trouble getting past this. TLDR, I've known for a while that my wife monitors some aspects of my life behind my back, and it was a joke for a while. But recently she accidentally revealed that she's monitoring more than what she let on and that she tried to keep it secret from me. Longer version: we've been married for 18 years. 2 kids. She's an accountant and is much better with monitoring our bank accounts than me. So when I learned that she would get notifications about my spending on the credit card, it was no big deal since we've been hacked before and want to prevent unauthorized spending. She would make comments about where I had stopped for lunch, for example, which I eventually realized she knew because she got some kind of notification about my spending. No huge deal, and probably a good thing. I wish she had let me know she was doing this in a different way, but whatever. Our daughter is 17, and when she started driving last year, my wife put a tracking app on our daughter's phone, without our daughter knowing, to know where she is. I was a bit uneasy about it, so my wife and I have had conversations about the ethics of that and decided it's a necessary evil since we're dealing with a teenager. We decided not to tell her. Fast forwarding to last week, I learned that my wife at some point gave herself automatic access to the photos on my phone and never told me. In the past, if I had been taking pictures at a family event or something, she would ask if she could borrow my phone afterward to send the pictures to herself. I have no problem with that and would hand it over. I don't password protect my phone and have no concerns about her seeing anything on it, though I think it's common decency to ask first. I've never needed her phone for anything, but if I did, I would ask permission first. While I was traveling for work last week, she asked me to take a bunch of pictures to send to her niece as part of a school project, which I did. The day after I got back home, I said something about how I needed to send those pictures to my wife's sister, and my wife said, I already did. I did a double take and said, when did you borrow my phone, since she hadn't asked. I figured she would say something like, while you were showering or something, which would be annoying but not terrible. However, she immediately got cagey and embarrassed, with a look that made it obvious that she knew she had said something she shouldn't have said. I asked her if she has automatic access to my photos somehow and she admitted that she did. I asked how and she said that a while ago she went into my phone and gave herself access to my Google Photos account. She apologized and said she knew she should have asked for permission but didn't. I asked what else she gave herself access to and she promised she hadn't done anything else. We had some arguments about the ethics of that, with her continually making the case that it's more efficient that way instead of borrowing my phone, and my continually telling her that she was missing the point, that it was an invasion of my privacy to do so without my permission and to then hide it from me. Since then I've really had my trust shaken. This kind of thing has happened before where she would do something sneaky behind my back, only to backtrack, make excuses, or simply apologize when I found out. I've started trying to figure out if she's doing other things to track and monitor me. I'm torn between the feeling that I have nothing to hide and that it's not a big deal versus feeling that she is violating my trust. How significant is this? By the way, I'm posting from a throwaway account for obvious reasons. Update: between writing that original post and now, I found the email showing that she had turned on automatic sharing of photos on Halloween. While I think I'm pretty good at a lot of things, keeping on top of many email accounts is not one of my strengths, which she knows. I then remembered that several times since then she has asked me for my phone like she normally does to send herself pictures that I had taken. On Christmas morning, for example, she asked for my phone to text herself pictures. I couldn't make sense of why she would do that if she already had access, and it finally dawned on me that she had done that to keep me in the dark. I confronted her just now about the whole situation, but held off on reminding her of that last detail. She claimed that 1, our daughter knows about the Life 360 app and that my wife can track her location. I'll verify later when I see her. 2, she said that she knew she shouldn't have given herself access to my pictures, that she knew it was wrong, and that she should have told me. She claimed there's nothing else she's hiding from me. I told her that she had been doing more than that she had been intentionally misleading me about what was going on. She acted like she had no idea what I was talking about and kept playing dumb for a while. As soon as I said, on Christmas Day, she said, I know. She admitted that she had done that to keep me from realizing she had access, but that she didn't think the time was right on Christmas to tell me the truth. To me, that's a deliberate and calculated lie. Some lies are little white lies meant to protect someone's feelings. Some lies are lies of omission where someone fails to tell the whole truth. This was an orchestrated, and successful, act of continued deception where the only purpose was to further her dishonesty. She immediately knew what I was talking about and admitted it and said she felt like she had gone too far and had to keep lying. I told her that if she had just asked for permission to access my photos account in the first place I would have given it to her, so I couldn't understand why all the elaborate lying. She said she had no excuse. I walked out and drove away. That's where we stand now. Update 2, it's the next day. I've followed a lot of people's advice and put more security on my phones, email, and other accounts, partially due to this situation but also just because everyone's responses have made me realize how much more seriously I need to take that in general. I spoke with my daughter, who said she is aware that my wife uses Life 360 on her and is okay with it. When my wife originally suggested we all use it, I declined having it on my phone and had a problem with her suggesting it be done without our daughter's knowledge, but I did concede to her doing it for our daughter anyway. Between then and now, though, apparently my wife did let her know and our daughter is okay with it, so I'm not worried about her breaking that trust. A lot of people have suggested that I go through my wife's phone and other accounts, either behind her back or right in front of her with no warning. I won't be doing either. I feel so violated by the sneakiness and the subsequent lying that she did, and I have no intention of being someone who does that to someone else. Maybe that's a mistake on my part, but that's how I'm going to handle it. Stories number 20. Had a baby 2 weeks ago and I want to leave my husband. My 32F and my partner, 36M, had a baby 2 weeks ago. The last couple months of my pregnancy were really rocky. I have 3 kids from my previous marriage, he had none. I got pregnant unplanned, I was on birth control. We welcomed this news, but I didn't think we were financially or emotionally ready for a 4th child. I suggested an abortion and he said he would leave me if I had one. So I didn't. Don't get me wrong. Now that my daughter is here, I'm so in love with her. He started becoming a jerk during my last month. I was uncomfortable, hormonal, and just miserable plus high risk. But we started arguing a lot. But still talked through our problems and made up. We had the baby and came home. My mom stayed 1.5 weeks to help out and it was such a big help. He didn't have to do anything except go to work. My mom cooked, cleaned, drove the 3 kids around plus drove the baby and I to all appointments and helped me. Then my mom left and his mom was set to come here for a week. I had scheduled our newborn photos for the week his mom was here. He flipped out on me saying it's a waste of money, he doesn't have time, and that I'm expecting too much from his mom to have her drive the kids to the photos. He told me I was lazy and being a bitch. I said fine, fuck it. I'll drive the kids myself to the photos. He said if I drove then he would call CPS on me for endangering the kids. I had a C-section so I was not supposed to drive for 2 weeks. He said if I drove he would tell his mom to go home and not help me. We got into a huge fight. So I said your mom shouldn't come with us being like this. I texted his mom an apology and told her that we weren't in a good place and that she shouldn't come. Well, she came anyways. But not to help me. To help her son. This entire week they have left me with the kids. She does drive them to school but that's it. She's ignored me and when I tried to be polite and talk to her she accidentally sent me a text meant for her son that said she's attempting to make small talk with me. I was hurt. My husband has been ignoring me or yelling at me telling me I'm disrespecting his mom, that I'm hogging the baby and that I'm being rude, and he skipped coming to the newborn photos. Instead him and his mom have been running errands together this week, she paid for his haircut. At night they watch movies together and he took an air mattress downstairs to sleep next to his mom, she's sleeping on our pull-out couch. I have felt incredibly lonely, ostracized, and downright like a prisoner in my own home. They took my car keys from me. They won't communicate anything with me. At this point I'm ready to just pack our shit and walk away. Stories number 21. Aita for not loving my sister's children the way she and her husband do. TLDR, on a recent visit to see my sister and their children, told me she was hurt and disappointed that I don't love her children in the same manner that she and her husband do. I told her this was an unreasonable expectation. Aita, the past 2 years I, 43F, have traveled to spend a week with my sister, 40F, and her family. She and her husband and have 3 young boys, a 3.5-year-old and twin 2.5-year-olds. It's about a 6-hour flight, so it's not a trip I can make on a regular basis. When I visited last February, it was a great trip. Good mix of sister time, hanging out with the kids and her husband, a night out, a house party, just all around enjoyable. Her husband is great and is a stay-at-home dad. My sister works from home and is a successful businesswoman. I was genuinely excited to go visit again last month. I'm not a kid person and I never have been. My partner and I are intentionally childless and we love our quiet, low-key life. I'm good with kids. I'll play with them with their toys, I'll crawl around on the floor with them, I'm down to do whatever goofy thing they're into, but for only about 2 hours at a time. Then I have to tap out and recharge. I'm also not great with the constant noise kids make. I understand that's just what they do, but I've got a low threshold for it, especially when it's the full-blown meltdowns. For the first 3 to 4 days I was at my sister's, the 3 kids were screaming and crying nearly every 25 minutes. So when the temper tantrum started, I'd go outside or at least leave the room. At one point, the kids and husband are out of the house and my sister took the opportunity to tell me how she's disappointed that I don't love the boys the way, husband's name, and I do. I said that I do love the boys and I asked if there was something I did or didn't do with the kids that upset her. She said no, that I was great with them. I asked if she thought I was paying enough attention to them. She said I was, but brought up my low tolerance for the fits. I apologized and reminded her that I'm really not used to it and that it's kind of stressful, so I just removed myself from the situation. Things kind of devolved from there, but we recovered and the rest of the trip was fine enough. Am I the asshole thinking that my sister's request is way off base? I love my nephews, but I don't think anyone can love children in the way that child's parents do. Edit, thank you for all the feedback. It gave me a lot of things to think about and reflect on. I've come to think my sister's criticism that I don't love her boys like she does is not an actual, literal expectation. I think it might be a weird, kind of manipulative way of saying, I need you to think I'm a good parent. It's entirely too much to get into here, and of course details and context are missing. But, I think I need to call her so we can talk about this and what's going on. Thanks for confirming that I'm NTA and that the perspectives of my family and friends were not just super biased in my favor. Stories number 22. Girl wants to steal my husband because she thinks he pays the bills. Plot twist, I pay them. My husband, who is lovely BTW, he used to have a big career but left everything to start something of his own. His new adventure sounds fancy and all, but honestly is eating more money than bring any, and it's a huge risk. However, when you hear about it you might think, damn, that's a good business. We live a good life, not going to lie. So I know how that looks. There is this family friend woman that we kinda recently met. All was fine and respectful until she heard what he does for his own business, how much we paid for our house, which school our kids go to, etc., information that slowly came out. She then started to directly and shamelessly flirt with him, and all. You know how it goes. Funny part? I'm the one making the money. Everything she likes of our life, I'm the one paying for it. My job is good enough to give us the life we have now and allow husband to take the risks. So joke on her, I guess. Would she start to flirt with me if she knew? Gosh, hope not. Stories number 23. My 33F husband, 36M, may have cheated on me with my dead best friend, and had an affair. Baby, I don't even know where to start. The past 6 months have been an absolute clusterfuck, and it only seems to be getting worse. My best friend since elementary school, who I'll call Alice, passed away in February from cancer. She had a 2-year-old daughter who went into the custody of her mom after she passed away, who I'll call Alexis. Last month Alexis showed up on our doorstep unannounced, telling my husband he needs to take responsibility for his child and either take custody or start finally paying child support. She says that Alice had told her when her daughter was born who the father was, but didn't want anything to do with him. To answer the inevitable, Alice was a traveling nurse and made a lot of money, which is the only reason I can think of for why she didn't go for child support. During this conversation my husband had the worst panic attack he's ever had, so we had to end the conversation before I could get more details. My husband's story is I don't even know. He said that Alice's daughter is probably his, but that it isn't what I think. Almost 3 years ago we threw a large housewarming party as we just moved into our dream home, after I finally finished residency and was set to make real money for once. Alice was in town, and set to be at the party, but I was called into work before she got there. I didn't get back till after 3 a.m., party was winding down, my husband was passed out upstairs, and Alice had already left the party, which at the time I did find strange as we hadn't seen each other in months. My husband claims he woke up in the middle of the night to Alice on top of him, but he passed out again before he could say anything. He claims he never told me because he was worried I wouldn't believe him, which I don't know if I do. He showed me some texts he sent his best friend the next day asking for his advice about him, thinking someone raped him, but if he cheated he could have had that conversation as evidence, especially since he never said Alice specifically. Ever since the party he has been very distant with Alice, and after she had her daughter he would even find excuses not to be around the house when she would visit at all. I don't know if that's because he cheated, or if Alice did actually rape him and this was his trauma response. Honestly Reddit, I don't know what to do. I've known Alice since we were children and she had never come across as that kind of person. But I've also known my husband for over a decade and he's not once ever given the inclination of a cheater. He's an attractive guy and I've seen the looks he gets at the gym and he's never even given more than a glance. What the hell should I do? How do I figure out what the truth is here when Alice isn't even around to defend herself? She never even implied she liked my husband, let alone want to sleep with him. I told my husband he needs to get a DNA test before anything is decided on the child's part, but in the meantime he needs to move out while I think about what I'm going to do here. TLDR, husband maybe has an affair. Baby, he claims he was raped by my dead best friend. Edit. After talking with you, I've come to the realization that my husband is being truthful. My best friend raped him. Several people pointed out that with Alice not liking my husband, if it was an affair, she would have told me when she was dying, if only to separate us. You're absolutely right. I was there, in the room while she passed. I held her hands for days, we talked about so much. If it was just an affair, she would have told me, but if she raped my husband, she wouldn't have said a word. That's the type of thing horrible people take to the grave. I've also come to the realization that I made a terrible mistake asking my husband to leave for a few days while I gather my thoughts. Not to make excuses, but losing my best friend to cancer, a long cancer fight at that, was brutal. To say that I was devastated wouldn't do it justice. That it happened only 6 months ago, I'm still feeling it every day, so to have this thrown on me, it's like I'm losing her all over again. Either she betrayed me and fucked my husband, or she betrayed me and raped my husband. Not only have I lost her, but now I've lost the good memories, an entire lifetime's worth. It was impossible for me to look at him and not also see her, and be struck with the horror and realization of that loss all over again. I felt I needed to be able to break down, grieve, and think without the fresh wave of loss I got every time I saw him. It was wrong of me to ask him to leave, you're right though, and as of a few minutes ago I've righted this wrong. I called my husband, I apologized, told him I believe him, and begged him to come home. He'll be here in half an hour at most, and I'm going to support my husband the way I know he would have supported me. I've been an off and on Reddit user for several years, and sometimes the advice given on subreddits like these can be a bit hit or miss. But today you guys did good. You've helped me realize not only that I was wrong, and being stupid at that, but that I was hurting the person that needed me the most. I was selfish. I have no idea what we're going to do as far as the potential daughter is concerned, but I can assure you we'll deal with it together. It's going to take a lot of time, and probably a lot of therapy, to grieve this new loss. I feel numb now, as though I'll never cry again. My best friend raped my husband, which means she was no friend of mine. She flaunted it, coming to my house, sitting with me, and gabbing. She brought her child here, trying to rub it in his face, right in front of me. She tortured the man I loved, and I was an unknowing party to it. I feel sick to my stomach over how many times she came over, just to hold it over him. I'm honestly at a loss on how to make that up to him. If you all have any ideas, please feel free to give them to me. I think I'll need all the help I can get. Tomorrow I'm going to take a leave of absence from work, just until we can figure out our next steps, and we can get our heads on straight. Update, my 33F husband, 36M, may have cheated on me with my dead best friend, and had an affair baby. I've received a lot of messages asking for an update, so I've decided to finally sit down and write one out. As you can imagine, after the clusterfuck that was thrust upon us, this update isn't likely to answer any of your questions, only present a few more. I want to start by telling you all that I love and trust my husband. My reaction to ask him for space to think, in retrospect, was wrong, but at the time I didn't know what to think. It was a combination of losing my best friend again, and also the fear that I was losing my husband, that sent me spiraling. Again, it was a mistake to ask him to leave, and I did rectify that in the end. Now, for the update. As mentioned in the original post, I did take a leave of absence from work and we spent a long time just being together. Talking, reaffirming our love for one another, and figuring out what to do next. We of course spoke with a lawyer, and my husband was very adamant about not having anything to do with the child, but was willing to offer financial support as needed. So we agreed to do a DNA test immediately to prove paternity, and then go from there. Didn't know you could buy tests on Amazon, but with only a few weeks processing it was the easiest path forward since Alexis lives hours away. To everyone's surprise, Alice's daughter is not my husband. We ended up testing twice, both very, very definitive. The first test we performed ourselves as mentioned, and another after Alexis refused to believe the first test, and took my husband to court for child support. For a single second this whole thing made me second guess if my husband was raped, that this could have been her way of forcing my husband to admit to an affair, but after talking with Alexis, I don't think that was the plan. Alexis says that Alice told her my husband was the father under strict confidence, demanding that she never, ever tell me or my husband. We were only ever to be told if Alexis died before Alice's daughter was old enough to take care of herself, so that she wouldn't end up in foster care. The only reason Alexis came to us then, instead of keeping that secret, is because Alice's life insurance wasn't being released yet, and she was out of options. She also felt I should know my husband and her daughter had had an affair. This all reaffirms in my mind that Alice did rape my husband, with the expectation of getting pregnant with his child. She obviously had other partners at the time, since one of them fathered her daughter, but no one knows who. It's clear to me that Alice believed it was my husband. I did suggest Alexis upload a sample to Ancestry, see if any matches pop up, but as Alice traveled all over for work, I don't know that anything will ever come of that. In truth, I've washed my hands of the situation. Alice did enough damage, and I don't particularly plan to be around for any more. My husband and I have gone through a lot of counseling, and will likely continue for a while. This whole situation damaged us both, my husband more obviously, and I don't think we'll fully heal for a very long while. To answer a few questions. No, sadly there isn't a hidden diary, or texts to explain what the fuck was going on. My husband and I are not getting divorced. He understands why I reacted the way I did, and has been strong when I was weak before. I've spent the past 7 months being strong while he was weak, so we're considering the whole thing even. We are still madly in love, and plan to be together for a long time still, more on this. No, we will not be adopting Alice's child. If she had been my husband's, we would not have been adopting the child. Ultimately I thank Reddit for setting me straight. There was a massive outpouring of support and corrective advice. To say I got a slap in the face would be a descriptive but apt way to put it. I needed it then, and I thank you for it. To say that you may have saved my marriage is an understatement. I do, however, have some good news. During my leave of absence, while my husband and I rediscovered what makes us love each other the most, I got pregnant. We're expecting our first baby, a girl, in a little over 3 months, and my husband and I are ecstatic. And no, we will not be naming her after my dead ex-best friend. TLDR, not my husband's baby, not our problem. No answers, just questions, and oh, I'm having a baby. Stories number 24. Her ex-fiancé hacked my girlfriend's email. Ended up in a padded room, 20 years ago. Dating via eHarmony. Met a great lady who lived 100-ish miles from the smallish town I lived in. Set up for her to come visit me and things went crazy. My date called me screaming and crying, asking me why I was leading her on, why I was a cheater. I had no idea what she was talking about or how she was being fed such a made-up story. My date told me that a woman had just yelled at her on the phone, calling her a skank and a marriage wrecker. This lady, falsely, claimed to be married to me and was shocked to see our emails. My date was pissed at me and demanded answers. She and I quickly figured out that ex-fiancé had set up her email account and she had not changed her password. This is going to sound fanciful, but 100% true. I used to work for a non-profit and the chief of police in our smaller town was on my board. He called the ex-fiancé on speaker with me in the room, told him he had evidence of computer hacking, a federal crime, 3 to 8 years in federal prison, etc. I knew he didn't have federal jurisdiction and did my best not to chuckle. Ex-fiancé put himself on a voluntary psychological hold for the next 72 hours thinking it would afford him a temporary insanity alibi. No charges were ever planned. Thank you, Chief Fulton. Stories number 25. Is mutual abuse a real thing? My boyfriend, I'm working on a safety plan and leaving, claims we are in a mutually abusive relationship. He claims that I am abusive whenever I have fought back or simply just not let him talk down me to. If I express any feelings of sadness or disappointment or be upset about anything, he often flies off the handle and is extremely aggressive towards me when I say anything he deems as me starting something. Lately he's been pinning me down and hitting me, telling me I need to shut up and take it and not constantly start an argument. A few times I will attempt to kick him off of me and then he will look at me, say I'm an abuser. He started assaulting me one time and I pushed him away and clawed at him as he had me in a chokehold, pulling out my hair. And now because of that he says I'm a true abuser and that he wants me to go to jail. I am not trying to hurt him actively, I simply am fighting for my life. I'm not sure if he's right about mutual abuse, but I'm so scared of him. And then I'm also so scared of being someone who's abusive. I know my heart and I love deeply and I don't think he's right about me. Just looking for guidance and support. Comment. Choking is the #1 biggest predictor variable in predicting the abusive men that escalate abuse and eventually kill their partner. Look, if a random stranger was choking you and pinning you down, you'd react with fight, flight, or freeze like any healthy human. Abusive fucks are offended that women, the people they abuse, dare to be unhappy about that abuse. To fight for one's right to breathe is not assault, it's not abuse. Whether it's a cop pinning down a person or a shithead abusive man pinning down his partner, that's the act of abuse. I know it's hard, but try not to internalize his gaslighting. You're allowed to fight for your life if someone chokes you, or does anything to intentionally compromise your body. Fuck that monster and his pathetic, whiny, utter gaslighting bullshit. Tell him to go choke one of his male friends and see what that reaction is. Because he would never. He knows that if he did that, he'd be getting his ass kicked and dropped off in a holding cell. The fucking sheer nerve of these man-children, these predatorily disgusting man-children, is astounding. Update. So it's been a while since I originally posted. I read everyone's comments and truly appreciated the support. I was truly confused by what was going on in my life at the time. It took it happening again and again for me to reach out for any help, and then after that I still took my time with getting out. I didn't want to set him off or let him know I was leaving. But I have been out for a few months now, working on myself and healing. It is still difficult and there are so many times I break down. But I went no contact with him, which was terrifying since he did not appreciate that. But I'm on the other side of the abuse now, which I am truly grateful for. Thank you to everyone who expressed guidance and support. Stories number 26. I just realized something about my mom that I've been warned about. So I, 20F, had my partner over a few days ago, and my partner was saying how my mom seems very disinterested in things that I say and it's frustrating to him that I don't see it. Well, literally a few minutes ago I was talking to mom about this new job I got selling crystals. And I was just making conversation about my experience there. She deeply sighed and got off of her Facebook reels. And I was like, why are you sighing? And he was like, I don't know, what were you going to say? And I started talking about it, and I caught her rolling her eyes. And I'm now just sitting here irritated as hell cause I think I realized that my partner was right. But also, I feel so much shame when talking about my interests with people that aren't my closest friends. And I thought it was just ADHD and maybe I talk about my interests in inappropriate times. But then I have cases like this where I'm just like, wow, and she comes home and talks about her job all the time. Why can't I? Anyways, that's about it, but yeah. Stories number 27. Aita for standing up for myself after an estranged friend told me she's pregnant. I, 31F, haven't heard from my college best friend, 29F, since June. For context, my dog died and she ghosted me, which she also did when my dad died a few years prior. I'd made peace with it after therapy and know people can only meet you as much as they've met themselves. Well, last week she reached out of the blue. I respectfully expressed how she hurt my feelings and how it's shocking to hear from her and that her actions made me feel like shit during the darkest moments of my life. Well, this week she's telling me she's pregnant, and that I'm going to be an aunt. Would I be the asshole if I simply said, congrats, and good luck with that, and left it at that? Quite frankly, I'm not interested in giving this person another chance and don't feel like being manipulated into a friendship via a child. Update, I said, congratulations, I wish your new fan the best. She said, wow really? I said, at least I didn't ghost you, and blocked her. Thanks for the support. Stories number 28. My girlfriend hangs out with her guy friend really late at night. So my girlfriend of almost a year has made a new friend from work and they hang out after they get off and sometimes are out really late at night and sometimes she can't go home cause she's tired and will just crash at his place. I brought it up that I wasn't okay with it and she told me that nothing happens that isn't platonic and I honestly believe her. But the guy is kinda mad about it. I don't know the guy at all so it's not personal at all, it's just general. Also there is a 10-year age gap, 18 to 28. What do I do? I'm not fond with the idea of breaking up but I also don't want to be cheated on or risk the chance of the guy trying to pull some shady stuff. Stories number 29. Wife found a hair tie that isn't hers and I'm not cheating. How do I get through this? Wife found a hair tie on the kitchen floor when she came back from a weekend out of town. I was home alone and didn't do anything, nor have I ever had the thought of cheating. Been together for 10 years and understandably it looks suspicious AF. We have a solid relationship with an extraordinary amount of trust in each other. Obviously we talked but I had nothing more to offer other than knowing nothing. Thought we were good but a day later she texted me at work to let me know she is still upset about it. We don't have many friends that come to the house and none that would wear a pink hair tie. About to leave work and head home. Not sure what to do. Anyone else been in this situation? Other than reassure her I am not cheating, how do I ease her mind? Bad situation. Edit. Yes, I have indoor cats and I also seriously doubt my wife is cheating. Stories number 30. Aita for having my MIL attend the birth of my first child instead of my mom. I want to preface this by saying that my husband is currently deployed, and will most likely not be able to come home for the birth. Knowing this, my husband and I had originally planned for my own mother to fly into town and help me before and after giving birth. Keep in mind, we were going to pay for the plane tickets. For the past few months, I've had this gut feeling that my mom wouldn't be able to help me in the ways I needed to be helped. So I discussed this with my therapist, and we decided that I should have a conversation with my mom letting her know what I may need help with. The following days I finally gathered up the courage to talk to my mom and let her know how I expect the stay to go. I told her I'd probably need help with cooking and chores that require bending over in the event that I had to get a C-section. I also told her that during this time, her role is to be my mom and not grandma. She laughed at that comment, and the whole conversation made me feel uneasy. That feeling was solidified when my sister called me the next day and she informed me that my mom was complaining about how I had a bunch of rules for when she visits. Then 3 days later she calls me. I had an inclination that it was because she was upset with what I was asking for, so shortly after I answered the call I said, my husband is leaving for deployment tomorrow, we are doing XYZ one last time, to hint at her that now isn't a good time to discuss. Unfortunately, my mom doesn't exactly care about others' needs or emotions and she kept pressing. She asked me if I even wanted her to visit, and she also made a snide comment about me wanting a live-in maid. When I tell you I lost my shit, I am not even kidding. I'm not proud of this, but I yelled at her, and I said, I'm sorry you expected to come here and be catered to. Have me cook and clean for you with my vagina bleeding and my nipples chapped and bleeding when my husband is deployed. That you thought you would get to play grandma the entire time. Her response. Well, you didn't say you wanted that. So, I'm having my MIL come instead. My mom doesn't know. I lied by omission when I called her the following week to let her know she can visit and my husband returns from deployment instead. She thinks that I am just going to have local friends assist me. I told my sister I may have my MIL come out instead, and she was skeptical but mostly because of our own mother's reaction. Like I am making the wrong choice because if our mom were to find out, it would cause immense drama. So. Aita. Edit. The only people who know that my MIL is coming to help are my MIL, myself, and my husband. I mentioned the idea of my MIL coming to my sister because for a brief period, my sister was going in my mother's place. However, due to my sister being a LND nurse in a different state, the likelihood of her being able to be here when I go into labor was slim to none. So I casually mentioned to my sister that my MIL cancelled her cruise and will be available when I'm due, to feel out her reaction to me no longer needing her help around that time. Anyways, that's why my sister knows that there's a possibility of my MIL coming. I purposely haven't told her my MIL is coming to prevent her from slipping up and telling my mom. I know, it's all messy and it's mostly because everything unfolded so quickly. Update, AITA for having my MIL attend the birth of my first child instead of my mom. After 2 weeks of no contact, I finally spoke with my mom today, and I revealed that I had been distant due to me having to process my feelings. I told her that I found it very hurtful that me asking for help was spun into requiring her to be my live-in maid during my postpartum period. I had also explained that I had not been updating her or my dad on the pregnancy due to their lack of interest support. During this conversation I learned that when I had first asked her for help, she for some reason interpreted this as me saying I did not want her to be there. She kept repeating over and over, "Well, you had made up your mind that you didn't want me there when you were talking to me about the things you needed." So I stopped her and I was like, "Make this make sense. Why the heck would I have it in my mind that I'm paying for your ticket to come over here, come up with a list of ways I can want to be helped, work up the courage to have that conversation with you, and have that talk? Why would I go through all of that? I'm 26 years old, I have no interest in playing mind games." She didn't have a real response to that other than, "Okay." Mystery solved as to where all of that stemmed from. As for lack of interest support, that quite literally stemmed from their reactions, or lack thereof, to the news of me being pregnant and any updates regarding the pregnancy such as the name, gender, and appointment updates. Any information that was revealed to both my mom and dad, I would get a very mild, cool, or response along those lines. When I addressed this today, my mom asked, "Well, how do you want us to react?" I responded with, "I shouldn't have to tell my parents how to show interest or excitement over a new grandchild." While it may seem like this conversation didn't quite go well because there was no real promise of solution change, it was extremely healing for me. I prefaced the talk with, "I am not expecting anything to change. I'm letting you know the reasons I have been distant. I have already thought about this, and I have already processed these feelings. I need to put this out there so that way it doesn't build and I don't end up resentful." Overall, it just really sunk in that I am able to stand up for myself and it felt so good to correct her for putting words in my mouth. Also, I felt so proud because I was able to have the conversation be very matter of fact, focused on actions not character, and remained calm throughout the talk despite there being jabs and unnecessary remarks. But yeah. Thanks for all the people who provided input on my initial post. There's a lot more layers childhood trauma that feed into the dynamic I have with her, so just know that this update and the initial post is kind of like a little scratch on the surface. Update. Well, this is an update I didn't think would actually happen, but here we are. Just a warning, I am raging internally so this may not be written well. First and foremost, the birth went well. My MIL was incredibly supportive and helpful. The months leading up to me giving birth, the relationship I had with my mother was very surface level. I did not reach out as frequently. Things got a bit tense about a week prior to me giving birth due to other familial issues. My mother did not call or text me the 2 weeks leading up to my due date. Honestly, the icing on the cake was my father asking me if I was having a boy or a girl. My husband and I told both of them last summer. The distance led me to telling them I had my son the next afternoon. That decision brought me a lot of peace. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. I called my mother to chat, not about anything serious. Just a quick check-in. The phone call threw me off because she apologized to me. She said, "I miss you. Our relationship is different, and I don't know how to fix it because I feel like I don't have the opportunity to. I should have handled that talk a lot differently. I want to come and help you." I don't know if it was my postpartum hormones, but against my better judgment I offered to have her come for 6 days. Honestly, my first red flag should have been her not fighting back and saying she could pay her own way. But oh well. I figured this visit would benefit me in the sense that I could try to be less resentful, and I could at least say that I tried. She arrived Saturday night, and the first full day was Sunday. I spent a lot of that day feeling agitated because the second I would lay my son down in his bassinet to go do something she would pick him up. It became quite clear to me that my decision to have my MIL come and help me was the correct one. That evening I told her that she cannot pick my son up every single time he cries because once she leaves, I physically am not able to do that for him. I told her that I'm essentially a single parent until the foreseeable future. She sheepishly apologized and said she wasn't thinking about after she wasn't going to be here, but this stay has just been a sideshow. I didn't trust her watching him alone for long periods because I caught her starting to fall asleep on the couch while holding my baby literally 30 minutes after she told me I could go nap. Thank God I was in the kitchen prepping dinner and I caught it. She did not offer to make meals. She made a comment about eating dinner at 8 p.m. because she isn't used to it like me. I had to tell her that eating dinner at 8 p.m. is not a choice. I told her she didn't offer to step in and start dinner while I was doing laundry, FaceTiming my husband in between his watches, or nursing my son. What was she doing? Basking in the Florida sun on my patio with the dogs while scrolling on her damn phone. The real reason I'm rage typing all of this isn't even because of her lack of help. It is her lack of emotional support. Today I was told that my husband's deployment is extended. I was sobbing. What did my mother do? She said, "I'm sorry." I haven't gotten a single hug from her. I got this news 4 hours ago. What I did get was her telling me to go take a shower, which was really code for, go shower so I can cuddle the baby because you won't be able to. I feel so angry, disappointed, and ashamed that I spent money on her coming out here. I guess it's not a total loss because this stay has helped me not put on rose-colored glasses like I normally do when it comes to her. Aita, I drop her off in a few hours as planned, thank goodness. For those saying to never pay her way again, absolutely 1000% never happening. I did it because she is always making comments about being single income and having to pinch money.